Prologue. Naruto is on the wet river floor seemingly dead or dying. Some would think he deserves to die, some who are no good bastards. But some sees him as a boy struggling with a curse like no other. Naruto thinks to himself how he got this way. Flashback 5 hours ago. Naruto is panting and gurgling blood. Why, you may ask? Simply put, he endured one of the most brutal battles he has ever had. With this one against his best friend, or his supposed best friend Sasuke Uchiha, who had not only beaten him, but also ran his lightning-covered hand through his chest, who at the moment is standing over him smirking at his work. Feel that, loser? That's me being ahead of you again. Stay in your place and below your betters, said Sasuke as Naruto retorts by spitting a glob of blood in Sasuke's face, resulting in a kick to his face. Flashback end. At the moment Naruto is laying on the ground in pain, slowly repairing his heart and organs. He soon is being visited by one Kakashi Hatake, who doesn't seem too happy to see him. Kakashi-sensei, help. Naruto never got to finish his sentence as he is grabbed by his throat by Kakashi and dragged towards the edge of the valley. You bastard of a child, not only have you failed to bring back my favorite, but you also dare to die in your failure. Such a waste, said Kakashi in a venomous tone, which Naruto is hurt when he said favorite. Kakashi-sensei, please, the tem was too strong for simple restraint tactics, and if I went all out I would've. Naruto never got to finish his sentence as Kakashi had backhanded him in the face. You are nothing but a bastard child birthed by that whore Uzumaki. Go and be with her in hell, said Kakashi as he throws Naruto of the edge to his seeming death, but not before taking his headband. Naruto screams out as he falls to his seeming doom. Elsewhere near the Valley of the End at night, the form of one Kimimaro Kagaya is seen on the ground of the grass-filled flat land. He had fought a battle against one Rock Lee of Konoha and Gaara of the Sand. However, he was unable to continue the fight due to an illness brought on by an unknown factor. But what some people, including the allied duo, didn't know, and the former Konoha Sannin didn't account for, is Kimimaro Kagaya coming back to life. How is this possible? Thought the Kagaya, in shock of the situation before him, as he slowly walks towards the Valley of the End, seeing the area as a site of a newly recent battle. He goes towards the edge to follow a trail of blood. Looking towards the edge, he sees down on another edge the boy he fought in the flatland, Naruto Uzumaki. He senses he is still alive, but just barely. Kimimaro, thinking about killing him or taking him to Orochimaru to be experimented on. Thinks about how his past was filled with evil and darkness, all the needless deaths, needless experiments, and for what a feeble chance at immortality. Maybe it's a chance to redeem myself and my ancestors from the gods, thought Kimimaro as he goes down for a moment. In Konoha, in the interrogation office, Kakashi is sitting in a chair, tied up and restrained. He's bleeding and bruised, mask torn to shreds and fingers broken. How he got this way was due to what he tried to pull on the Hokage. He had told Tsunade and her assistant Shizune about the boy's death and how it was caused by Orochimaru, who had attacked Naruto as Kakashi arrived. Telling her Sasuke had been rendered unconscious by Orochimaru, who had taken the boy. Tsunade had seen through the lie, as she had been suspicious of Kakashi's training of his team. Having got information from past clients that contradicts the mission reports from Kakashi that shows Naruto in a bad light and Sasuke in a good one. So Kakashi, I would like the truth, or do we have to beat it out of you again to get it? Said Tsunade as she, Ibiki, Shizune, Jiraiya and surprisingly Hinata wanted an answer that wasn't bullshit. Hinata jabbed a point in his body that greatly induces pain to his genitals. Kakashi is screaming out in pain at the sensation. Alright, I'll tell you, just call of the Hyuga heiress, said Kakashi in an immensely pain-filled tone. As Tsunade puts a hand on Hinata's shoulder, she stops her striking. Kakashi spills his guts and reveals everything from his hatred of Naruto being the bastard son of his sensei, to showing Naruto in a false light and Sasuke a bright one, as well as him throwing Naruto of the edge of the Valley of the End. Everyone in the room was angry, none more than Hinata, Tsunade and Jiraiya. Hinata, make him scream one last time, said Tsunade as she and the young Hyuga heiress smirked at the command as she walks forward towards the trembling scumbag of a teacher. Screams will be heard and cherished by many who would learn the truth of what happened to Naruto. Back with Naruto weeks later. Kimimaro had taken Naruto to a hospital on the border of Spirit and Bear Country. Right now, Naruto is still unconscious, healing from the extensive damage done to him by Kakashi and Sasuke. The nurses were instructed by Kimimaro to give him passive exercises as he heals from the damage done to him as he heals. This has gone on for the last couple of weeks, and so far Naruto is still unconscious. With Kimimaro. Kimimaro is walking in the village in search of work. I need to find work. Hopefully I can get enough for food and supplies for me and the Uzumaki. Thought Kimimaro as he looks and sees a sign at a school of sorts that read, "Help wanted for instruction in hand-to-hand combat." He looks at the school sign that reads the Vedic School of Martial Combat, Philosophy and Science. Kimimaro walks into the room to see three men lying on the ground unconscious with many bruises and dislocated limbs with one man standing over him. He towered over Kimimaro in terms of size and build. The man had red eyes with cat-like slits and long red hair tied in a ponytail. "What is my first test of being a teacher at this school?" asked Kimimaro as he looks at the man. "You must survive a test of endurance in hand-to-hand combat. If you survive 40 minutes of non-stop fighting you will be given the job and advanced pay from passing said test," said the man as multiple students are picking up the defeated fighters in the room. "I, Kimimaro Kagaya, am willing to accept your test," said Kimimaro, who takes a fighting stance that is unique to him. "I, Red Lion will face you in this test," said Red Lion as he prepares for battle. Kimimaro gets into his battle stance as well. Soon an epic battle of skilled fighters begins. With Naruto. Naruto during his stay at the hospital still hasn't awoken from his coma-like sleep. Naruto's physical state on a cellular level had begun to revitalize something within his cellular makeup that dates back to many generations. Back with Kimimaro. Kimimaro after 40 minutes of non-stop fighting manages to get a job at the Vedic School of Warrior Arts. Kimimaro was also given starting pay for the completion of the test. His first class meets next week for the next starting days. He goes back to his hotel and makes a solid curriculum on hand-to-hand combat. He first goes to pay Naruto's hospital bill. These next couple of months will be a test for the young Kagaya. Inside of the Leaf Village. People were celebrating the so-called demon's death, however a small group wasn't doing so as they were in mourning of an unsung hero whose statue is built on the top of the Hokage moment. Timeskip 8 months later with Kimimaro. Kimimaro has proven himself to be an exceptional teacher in the art of hand-to-hand combat, greatly training students in the field of hand-to-hand fighting. His fellow teachers praise his work ethic and curriculum. He has even gained admirers in the form of one Pakura, a kunoichi formerly of Sunagakure with an elemental release of Scorch, and a woman by the name of Guren who happens to have a bloodline similar to his own only with crystals instead of bone. The three would have conversations talking about their past and their goals. They soon grow closer to each other like never before, as they feel a kindred spirit in each other. At the moment the three are in bed with each other naked. After a night of rough passionate sex to cement their relationship and devotion to one another. Kimimaro awakens to get dressed to go see if the blonde is still in a coma. Come back Kimimaro. I really liked what you did last night with me and Pakura-chan," said Guren as she looks at Kimimaro who looks at her and smirks. "Sorry my darling Guren, but I have to keep a promise to myself to help a particular blonde friend," said Kimimaro as he kisses both Pakura and Guren on the lips and leaves out with Pakura and Guren looking at each other and decide while they waited for him they could have some fun with each other. As both Pakura and Guren proceed to have a session of sex between themselves. Kimimaro sensing the action is hoping the blonde isn't awake. However, seeing that it might happen anyway, had hoped he wasn't too dim-witted. With Naruto at the hospital. Naruto is starting to wake up after 8 long months of being in a coma. He sports longer hair and a more defined frame of build in a white hospital gown. The nurses around had started to become more attracted to the mystery of blonde over the course of his stay. Kimimaro walking into the room sees that the blonde is waking up. Soon Naruto had awakened to discover himself in a hospital. Where am I? It's a hospital alright, but where? Before he could finish his sentence Naruto looks around to see Kimimaro in front of a visitor's chair. He tries to get into a fighting stance, but his form is still stiff despite his passive training. "Easy young Uzumaki, I am not your enemy, we have much to discuss about what happened to you and where we are," said Kimimaro as Naruto sits and listens to the Kagaya in question. Back in Konoha. The village hidden in the leaves have been experiencing a severe economic crisis ever since the dumbass civilian council had released to the public that Naruto is dead and that when Sasuke Uchiha returns, he will be praised as a hero for killing him. However, they didn't see how 2 countries, and an allied village had either increased trade prices or hostilities towards said village for their action of praising a traitor rather than a true patriot. Jiraiya, who in the past thought Naruto was not dead, checks the summoning contract. He sees that his name had been marked as dead. Jiraiya had given up peeping and replaced his Ika Ika Paradise with Ika Ika Guardian, a more female-friendly book that has outsold Ika Ika Paradise for the last couple of months. The daimyo also had taken a chunk of money from the village's coffers and publicly whipped the civilian councillor who leaked said information. Tsunade put Sasuke in the bingo book with a dead or alive bounty worth 300,000 dead or 950,000 alive ryo. At the moment one Tsunade Senju is doing some paperwork. Tsunade had taken her work seriously since Kakashi killed her little brother figure in cold blood. Said former Jonin now Chunin is in the reserve forces for the next 7 years as the village is under martial law. Naruto, I wish you were here. I only hope you are still alive. Thought Tsunade, as she looks at the paperwork in front of her, denied taking Sasuke out of the bingo book and making him a national hero. Inside the Hyuga compound, Hinata is distraught at what's happening, and the worst part is that her clan elders had arranged a marriage with Kiba Inuzuka, who the past couple of months had been making aggressive advances towards her. Hinata can only hope that she either dies or Naruto comes back to life. But what she doesn't know is Naruto coming back even stronger. Back with Naruto and Kimimaro. Kimimaro had explained everything that had happened when Naruto was in his long coma. Naruto is surprised that his former enemy had become his savior and healer. So what now, Kimimaro? I have nowhere to go, and after that stunt with Kakashi, I'm certain that many of those who hate me wants me dead if I return. Asked Naruto as he feels lost without a purpose now that Kakashi betrayed him. Right now, Naruto, I don't know, maybe you should decide what you want to do instead of what others want you to do. Said Kimimaro as he looks at the blonde in front of him. Naruto, thinking about it, decides to make a path that will see a great future. He thinks back to the people who didn't see him as a pest and saw him for him. Naruto thinks back to one Hinata Hyuga, how she has been nice to him and shown care for him. Well, I'll give it a shot, hopefully I can become a ninja worth salt. Said Naruto as Kimimaro sees a light like no other in the young blonde. So Kimimaro, what are you planning to do for your future? Might I ask? Asked a curious Naruto as he looks at the albino. Well, I plan to rebuild and reinvent the Kagaya clan as a clan of skilled fighters. But the first order of business is I need to retrain you for your journey, said Kimimaro as he looks at the young blonde who was curious at the prospect. Why would you train me? Asked Naruto. Because in a way I sense great potential in you. Also, I have seen your academy records and stats. You need work and I'm going to teach you to fight so well and so good you would be a #1 ninja in any book, answered Kimimaro as he smirks at Naruto in question. Get some sleep, Naruto, as for tomorrow you will have a rebirth like no other. Said Kimimaro as Naruto smiles at this proclamation. Soon Naruto is going to go through hell in his retraining under one Kimimaro. Timeskip 1 year and 6 months later. Naruto had been put through true hell. He had been put through a training method to re-educate dropouts in the ninja program called the Phoenix Gate. A training program was designed to turn the average ninja dropout into iron warriors. Naruto is the first ever person to ever be put through this program and survive. He relearned everything and then some about being a ninja and warrior, from hand-to-hand combat, shurikenjutsu, bukijutsu, athletics and battle tactics. Naruto was grudgingly rescued in both standard and military academics. From science, mathematics, history and many other fields that were needed to complete the Phoenix Gate. Naruto had been put through hell on a mental and physical standpoint and persevered through it all and passed Phoenix Gate, gaining a new level of skill and ability as well as many skills he would be lacking as a person. Naruto is with Kimimaro, Pakura and Guren at the market searching for clothing and equipment. He goes through the market, finding him a new outfit that can hide his identity from the Akatsuki. They settled on a gray scarf mask covering his face and hair and an outfit that's reminiscent of nomadic masked warriors who travel from many places and environments of the elemental nations. Are you sure Naruto doesn't want to stay? Asked Pakura, stroking Naruto's whisker marks. Yes, I'm sure. I want to make a difference in the world and find my own path. The Akatsuki would attack this place to get to me and I don't want your deaths on my hands. Because I wouldn't live with myself if I did. Said Naruto as Pakura and Guren are touched by Naruto's noble spirit and character. Naruto walks off into the horizon after saying his goodbyes to the pair. The trio of lovers know Naruto has big dreams for the future of the world and are hoping he goes to live up to achieve them. Soon I will become the greatest ninja and warrior on the planet. I only hope that I have the will and skill to make it happen. Thought Naruto as he runs towards the horizon on a new journey, unknowing he will have a physical rebirth like no other. Timeskip 6 months later in a river country. Naruto has been traveling for the last 6 months. He has fought caravan raiding bandits, helped hunters hunt down wild man-eating beasts, and lastly collect bounties at bounty stations. Right now Naruto is on a muddy but narrow path, walking. Until he hears the roar of thunder in the sky. Rain begins to fall along with lethal bolts of lightning. Soon Naruto is running for his life as the thunderstorms in river country are more wild than anywhere else. Lightning is striking randomly in various places, hitting trees, boulders and some wildlife. Naruto dodges the lightning strikes as best as he could. However, he is finally struck by 2 bolts knocking him towards a cave of sorts, rendering him unconscious. Electricity surging inside of his body like spiders. Meanwhile, in a hidden cave near what used to be Uzushio, a series of seals begins lighting a metallic statue of an armored avian-like human warrior of some kind on a top of a ruined building. The statue comes to life like a living person and flies to the direction of the one who awakens it to give said person something that is very important. Back with Naruto. Inside the body of one Naruto Uzumaki on a cellular level, cells of a revitalized dormant trait have awakened and started to alter the young blonde's body on a skeletal and muscular structure. Breaking and tearing muscle and bone and reforming it all at the same time, developing muscle and bone toughness and build while also adding two particular additions. Organs are not only being toughened but also having double the output and capacity of their normal functions. Soon out of his back two things only Tengu should have, grows and becomes a reality for Naruto as his hair grows longer to his upper back. Dark gray, white feathered wings grow from his back. His face cleared with all of the chakra from the fox going back inside of the seal, surprising the fox and waking him up at this transaction and surge of renewed strength. As this was happening, a girl with mint green hair, a petite but defined and toned build with a considerable bust in an outfit of her own unique design hears something in the cave. She slowly goes to investigate the sounds while unaware her teammates plan to kill her, and what better way to do so by trapping her inside said cave with explosives. Her teammates proceed to plant explosives inside the entrance to the cave. After getting far enough away, the treacherous pair triggers them, destroying the entrance and surprising the mint-haired girl inside, who is now trapped with a pursued beast in her mind. However, her mind will take a different turn when she sees not what but who is in the cave with her. The girl went to meet her supposed death with courage, but what she finds is something not of fear but of awe. Before her laid a wild boy with angel-like wings. She blushes at the muscular physique he sports but also the boy's handsome and feral face. She goes over to slightly caressing his face, arms and torso to see that he's alive but unconscious, being secretly thankful for his survival. She sits near him and waits for him to wake up. Inside the mindscape of Naruto. Kyuubi is studying Naruto's new form and is surprised at what he discovers of his lineage. So the line of that one still lives within this boy. Time will become interesting as he begins his path. Thought the fox-tailed beast. It also senses its sibling in the mint-haired girl. Chapter 1. What am I? The mint-haired girl looking for a way out while also checking on Naruto, who in the girl's eyes is like a fierce heavenly prince. Naruto inside of his mind is having glimpses and visions of different battles and events that have happened in someone else's past. Live on my descendant, you will be a rebirth like no other to the Garuda. Said the mysterious voice as Naruto suddenly wakes up, surprising the girl who looks at him in question. Where am I and who are you? Asked Naruto in a demanding tone, unsure of the girl in front of him. My name is Fu. I was a kunoichi from Waterfall. You're still in river country, revealed the now named Fu as she looks at the boy in front of her. Naruto looks at her as he sees similar sad eyes he sees in himself and in Gaara. Instantly knowing she is a Jinchuriki like him and his red-headed friend. Before he could talk further, he notices his wings, fangs and claws. He becomes awed at them and begins to figure out what happened. Was he an angel of sorts? What was he truly? Hey wing boy, mind helping me figure out how to get out? Asked Fu as she looks at the seemingly angelic blonde. Sure, let's see what we can. Naruto never finished as he and Fu felt tremors coming from the sealed cave entrance to see the ruble being moved by a figure. Fu and Naruto get into fighting stances to see a metallic figure with wings similar to Naruto as he moves forward. He takes off his helmet to reveal he has no face. Slowly but surely, he removes the armor. The duo discover he is a golem of sorts. The golem then walks over to Naruto and places two fingers on his head. Soon Naruto is sucked into his mindscape. Inside the mindscape of Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looks around to see that his mindscape isn't a sewer but a castle of unique design. He walks through the halls to see that the figure the golem is modeled after is standing next to a restrained and human-sized and shaped Kyuubi. The man had the same features as him. Powerful dark gray wings, and an animalistic look about himself. He has on armor that comprised of a lamellar-style armor of the samurai and warrior monk, only modified to compensate for the man's wings. His helmet looks like a samurai's kabuto, but it has the sharp black flaps with a feather design to it. Greetings Naruto Uzumaki, or should I call you Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze? Said the stranger in question as Naruto is confused. Why do you call me Namikaze and who are you? Asked Naruto, confused at the man's phrasing of his name. I am Tosei Kaminari. I am your ancestor from the Uzumaki clan. The reason how I know it is due to me going inside of the mind of Kurama here and found information of your parentage, said Tosei as Kurama grumbles, stupid telepaths. Where do you come from? And who is the Uzumaki clan? Asked Naruto as he looks at the winged warrior. The winged warrior explained his origins as a being from another dimension, of how he and Naruto are from a race of winged humanoid beings known as the Garuda, a race of warlike defenders that fight for freedom and justice. Explaining he was a part of a special forces unit known as the Thunder Battle Group. He explained how he came to his dimension through the destruction of his civilization by a rival race of winged humans. He came into contact with his Uzumaki ancestor, a woman named Kikyo Uzumaki, a fierce Uzumaki Onimusha who was captured by brigands. He goes into detail how he not only rescued her but also came to be married inside of the Uzumaki clan. He also revealed that he had a hand in the creation of higher forms of Fuinjutsu thanks to his knowledge of alchemy. Kurama then explains who the Uzumaki clan is, and how the Uzumaki are one of the great clan's descendants from the Sage of Six Paths and how he and Tsunade are essentially cousins through clan ties. He explains that Naruto gets his healing factor from the Uzumaki, not just him. Kurama lastly explained how he came to be sealed inside of him and who his parents were. Naruto was not only glad to know who his parents were, he also knew who his enemy is. Madara Uchiha. Thank you, ancestor, and thank you Kurama for your knowledge of my heritage and lineage. I know I can't release you but I can help with your arrangements. Said Naruto as Naruto changes his shackles to an armband. You may go free when I have a way to separate us safely, said Naruto as he and Tosei walk outside of the area Kurama is in. Naruto, the golem will give you the weapons and armor I once had. Use them well. My time is over, but what I want you to do is give me great-grandchildren, haha, said Tosei as he and a blushing Naruto fade from the mindscape. Back in the real world. Fu is worried about the winged Adonis who is right now seemingly under a trance by the living statue. Soon Naruto breaks out of the trance and the statue starts to fall to pieces, leaving various pieces of armor and weapons on the ground. Are you okay, Naruto? My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I am the last living male of the Uzumaki clan and son of the Yondaime Hokage, and Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox, said Naruto as he interrupted Fu, who was in shock at the revelation. In front of her is not only Konoha has lost Jinchuriki but the son of a Kage and Jinchuriki of the most powerful Biju. Well, my little larva, you found a fierce Prince Charming. You should go with him, said the seven-tailed beetle inside of Fu. She watches as the blonde-winged warrior gathers the armor from the collapsed golem. Naruto proceeds to get his ancestral armor and weapons. Soon Naruto dresses in his ancestor's armor. He then analyzes each of his weapons. From the bladed weapons he has a double-edged short sword with a prong guard, a serrated dagger, and clawed gauntlets. His other weapons consisted of a collapsible short battle staff that has a hidden blade that makes it an effective combat spear, a ball and chain, a weapon from what Tosei's knowledge had told him, a plasma saber, and finally a large assortment of throwing knives and impact bombs. Naruto also feels a deep surge of knowledge of skills pertaining to combat, Fuinjutsu and other fields. Naruto gets to his feet and looks at his fellow Jinchuriki while he wears his ancestral armor. Well, Fu, I have a journey to go on if you want to follow me. I will not stop you if you want to follow me or not, said Naruto as he looks at the mid-haired girl. Fu feels for the first time someone who could be a true precious person to her. Gladly, said Fu as she looks at Naruto in question. Naruto smiles at gaining a travel companion, especially one like Fu. Great, let's go, said Naruto as he and Fu zoom out of the cave together. Fu is surprised at how her companion can move as fast as her. They soon come out of the cave. Fu gets a better look at her companion's armor and sees how magnificent he is in his ancestral armor. Well, where do we start our journey, Naruto-kun? Asked a curious Fu as she looks at her companion, deeply captured by his eyes. Well, Fu, we need to get you some armor before we start any journey, said Naruto as both of them begin to take flight. In Konoha, Hinata is training harder than ever before in honor of her late crush Naruto. She is pushing her skills in Juken to newer levels to the point she integrated aerobics and technical acrobatics in her movements. Hinata for her part stops and senses something in the air as she feels a wind of change that is coming forth in some way she doesn't know but feels is great for her in some way. While she is to be married in 7 years, she feels that Naruto is still alive somewhere with a new strength the world has only seen once. Back with Naruto and Fu. Naruto and Fu make shelter in an old clan compound. Fu had come to learn that her fellow Jinchuriki had experienced hardships in his home village and that a good few people cared for him deeply. One of which is an heiress of a clan he had realized loves him. Fu felt jealous at first but remembered what Naruto told her about his stamina being far above hers in terms of attributes. Fu thinks she might as well share the prince with the heiress. Heck, she may even enjoy being in the company of both a female and a male like Naruto and the Hyuga heiress. Naruto also learned of Fu's own hardships in her own village. Naruto started to develop feelings for Fu. He doesn't know why, but she in a way is one of many soulmates that he will see and possibly be with. The duo at the moment is looking at the stars. Naruto had deeply explained that his wings were a result of genomes being awakened by several bolts of lightning hitting him that kick-started his transformation into what he is now, as well as what he is descendant from with the information of the golem. Fu for her part examines the wings in question, seeing they are like hers, only bigger and stronger, along with being comfortable with its fur and feathers. Incredible, said Fu as she looks at Naruto's wings. Well, you are something else entirely, said Fu, blushing as she admires the muscles in his back. Thank you, Fu, that means a lot from you, said Naruto as Fu looked at his wings. Elsewhere in a secret base, several figures can be seen with distinct features with identical black cloaks with red clouds. Report, said a man with orange hair and purple ripple-patterned eyes. We are unable to find the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, said a raven-haired figure with deep red eyes as his partner nods in confirmation. Itachi and Kisame aren't the only ones we lost track of the Seven-Tails Jinchuriki, said masked figure with green eyes. If we ever get our hands on whoever took them, I will sacrifice them to Jashin-sama, said a figure with silver hair. Focus on the other Jinchuriki, the other two will be found, said the purple-eyed figure as the holograms of each one of them leaves. Back with Naruto and Fu. Naruto in his armor guise helps Fu find armor and clothing to help disguise her from the Akatsuki and its spies. At the moment Naruto and Fu are in the dressing room of a ninja outfitter shop. Fu had gone through 12 different outfits that had different benefits for different terrains in the elementals. What do you think? Asked Fu as she steps out of the dressing room with an outfit that comprises of a modified azure blue-colored Peking mask that shows more of her chin and her eyes. A chest guard that is similar to the ninja of the Warring Clans era, only with a feminine design in dark gray with matching trousers and a very attractive and functional kunoichi sandal pair. You look incredible, said Naruto in awe as he looks at a blushing Fu. Thank you, Naruto-kun, that means so much from you, said Fu as she hugs Naruto in gratitude for his compliment. Naruto smiles at his companion. They both went to the counter and purchased the outfit and gear. So Naruto-kun, what are we to do? Asked a curious Fu who looked at his companion. Naruto thinks to himself. Well, Fu, there is only one type of job that would keep people safe and keep renegade ninja and bandits up at night. Bounty hunting, answered Naruto as Fu looks at him with a firm nod, understanding that while people of her village may have hated her, but some people shouldn't share her hatred. When do we start? Asked Fu as Naruto looks at her and smiles. When we get to a bounty office, said Naruto as he looks at her with an equal smirk. Time skip 4 years later. A group of missing nin are running for their lives from an unexpected enemy as slowly one by one each one of the nins are being killed in various fashions. One ducks behind a tree until an armed figure with wings looks down at him with predatory intent as he soon swoops down on the nin with a strange glowing sword. The man never saw him coming as the winged warrior swoops down and cuts the man's head off. Soon a woman in distinctive armor with a modified azure blue Peking mask appears next to her possible companion. Well, my dear Garuda, we have enough bounties on missing nins for the rest of the year. Let's relax and take a vacation, said the woman as she looks at her winged companion. Yes, my lady Vishnu, after all we do deserve a break from bounty hunting. But first I need to find the one who is most promising when it comes to bounty, said Garuda as he and Vishnu collects the heads of the missing nins. Elsewhere in Konoha. Konoha is in great condition on the outside, but in its spirit the curtain is living hell. As many of the corrupt counselors are steadily feeding at the Hokage's power in the hopes of undermining her authority and remove Sasuke Uchiha from the bingo book. Much of Konoha is in disarray due to their attempts with the hospital enduring shortages in medical supplies. The worst is that the amount of fangirls and nobleman children in the ranks have caused an increase in mission failures due to possessing less skill than most kunoichi. Danzo and his fellow elders are also joining in the power siphoning. Tsunade at the moment is teaching a class of medics comprised of Ino, Tenten, a boy named Takahiro Tenno, Hinata and 2 clanless Chunin hopefuls. Sakura would have joined them, but Tsunade had stripped her of her shinobi license after finding her latent disregard for not only the safety and training of a genin team, causing said team to lose their lives in the process on AD rank turned a ranked protection mission that she tried to hide with the help of the councils. Alright everyone, now that you know the human body's healing and kill points, tomorrow I will train you in the use of chakra scalpels and healing hands. So be ready for tomorrow, said Tsunade as she starts to feel increasingly tired from the day. Hi Lady Hokage, said the group of medics. Lady Tsunade, please relax, you're pushing too hard. I know it's hard that Naruto is gone, but you know he wouldn't want to see you in such disarray, said Shizune as Tsunade smiles as her apprentice and daughter figure who has become a source of hope for her, especially after Naruto's presumed death. She and Hinata despite her situation. You two have always been good to my spirit after all these years. However, I feel that something on the horizon is bringing not only darkness but an incredible light that was once stolen from this world, said Tsunade in a cryptic tone, which Hinata and Ino feels the same for some reason. I do see you feelings ever since Kakashi's demotion and disgracing. People have been acting out of character and showing their true colors, said Hinata as Ino agrees to this as she had long ended her friendship with Sakura, seeing her as a spoiled princess and manipulative bitch when she bad-mouthed Naruto about failing to bring back Sasuke, not caring about her teammates' loss of life. I wish Naruto-kun was here, thought Hinata in sadness. Elsewhere in the elemental nations. One Sasuke Uchiha is stalking the countryside of the Ember country testing his skill against the nomadic clans of the area. He is traveling after defeating a clan full of supposed weaklings. He is traveling towards Rice country with his want for a worthy opponent unsatiated. That is until he sees a figure floating above him. So the fallen prince of the Uchiha is here in Ember country. I will enjoy getting the bounty. Bring your hide and broken, said Garuda as he gets out his short sword and charges at him. Lady Vishnu looks at the battle patiently. Sasuke and Garuda get into an intense sword fight, matching each in many steps, Garuda deciding to add a little more pressure to the Uchiha clansmen. Sasuke begins to be pressured by Garuda's incredible strength and skill with the sword. Garuda push kicks Sasuke into a tree a distance away, cracking it. Sasuke for his part casts out a fireball jutsu along with shuriken towards Garuda, but sees in surprise that Garuda is fine as he flies towards Sasuke with his sword. Sasuke's arms feels like jelly from the physical strength Garuda is demonstrating. Sasuke puts his sword away to fight Garuda with taijutsu. Garuda, seeing this, also fights taijutsu. An exchange of punches and kicks lasts for 30 minutes. Garuda, starting to get bored with the fight, proceeds to use trapping techniques against Sasuke's refined interceptor snake fist hybrid style. Garuda viciously pummels Sasuke with his brutal grappler tactics. Sasuke uses the curse seal to fight back, but Garuda starts using more of his strength to beat the mutated Uchiha to near death, causing Sasuke to fall out of the curse seal state. Garuda lands one last punch, knocking the Uchiha out. Wow darling, you really didn't like him, said Lady V as she comes up to him and locks lips with Garuda. Well darling, it was personal for me in more than one way, said Garuda as he picks up Sasuke and flew towards Konoha. I might as well visit Konoha to see what the others are doing, thought Garuda as he looks in the distance. 4 hours later. Izumo and Kotetsu are standing guard at the village gates due to a bar fight between them and some grave vandalizers of Naruto's grave. As they are looking out for any trouble, they soon see a figure flying towards the gate, getting lower so he could land. Halt, state your business, said Izumo as he looks at the winged figure in question. I am Garuda, and this is my companion Lady Vishnu. We are here to collect the bounty on Sasuke Uchiha here, said Garuda as he puts him down on the ground as Izumo goes to alert the Hokage, and Kotetsu looks at the figure with surprise. I wanted to see if he had gotten any strong from when he joined your enemy. It looks like he just learned new tricks instead of improving his true strength, said Garuda as Izumo arrives with Tsunade, Jiraiya, and several Anbu. Greetings Lady Hokage, I'm glad to meet you. I am Garuda, and this is my companion Lady Vishnu, introduced Garuda and Lady Vishnu as they bow in respect to the Hokage. The legends are true. The power and knowledge of the one from another world will rebuild the Uzumaki clan in a new image, thought Tsunade as she and Jiraiya and several Anbu study the duo with an odd but calculating eye. Are we able to be paid for the bounty, Lady Hokage? Asked Garuda as he looks at Tsunade with a critical eye. Yes, we will talk about it the next day. Right now, please stay at our complimentary hotel for the next day. My Anbu Neko will escort you there, said Tsunade as she bows to them and leaves with the beaten Uchiha. Please follow us Garuda-sama, we will take you to the hotel, said Neko in a professional but amazed tone at the winged individual. Okay, lead on, said Garuda as he keeps to his disguise. The group walk through the village towards Konoha's inn. As they are walking, Garuda looks around to see darkness as the streets of Konoha is dirty and unclean. From what his senses smell, there have been riots, murders and rapes in the various dark alleys and streets. Before he could continue towards the hotel, he sees Hinata Hyuga, a young woman, now fierce but beautiful Kunoichi, walking down a street across from him. But she is not alone. Walking close to her is Kiba Inuzuka, who appears to be more of a feral-looking bully, making Hinata uncomfortable with his inappropriate touches, especially in public. Garuda walks over towards the two-leaf nins. Kiba is about to grab Hinata in a crotch area until a hand grabbed his. Kiba turns around to see Garuda towering over him and Hinata. Excuse me ma'am, is this fellow bothering you? Asked Garuda as he looks at the dog boy in question and towards the heiress in question. Butt out dickhead, this is me and my mate's business, so fuck off, said Kiba as Garuda starts to crush Kiba's wrist in his grip. I was talking to the lady, not you dog boy, said Garuda as he proceeds to throw Kiba to the side like he was nothing. Kiba's dog companion whimpers in a way of apology for his master's action. It's quite alright my canine friend, your owner needs to learn how to be a gentleman in a proper manner, said Garuda to Akamaru as he scratches behind Akamaru's ear. Hinata walks up to him. Thank you, sir, but who are you, might I ask? Asked Hinata as she looks at the man in question while admiring his wings. Please madam, call me Garuda, said Garuda as he bows to Hinata like a gentleman. Well Garuda-sama, thank you for your interference, as Kiba was getting too aggressive for the longest while. I am Hinata Hyuga, said Hinata as she smiles at the gentleman in front of her. Here, let me take you home, madam, said Garuda as he turns towards Lady Vishnu. I'm going to take Hinata here home. I will meet you at the inn, said Garuda as he takes flight with Hinata bridal style. My darling Garuda, you are truly wonderful. I will admit you have good taste in girls, especially the assassin's fist type. Maybe if we get lucky, I can get to know the Hyuga privately, thought Lady V as she visualizes her, Hinata and Garuda together in the bedroom fooling around in the sheets as she walks to the inn. With Garuda and Hinata. Hinata is in awe. She is enjoying the avenues of flight with Garuda as she is looking at the sights at new angles. Down there please, said Hinata as Garuda descends and lands in front of the Hyuga compound gates. Well, Miss Hyuga, I wish you a good day. Hopefully we can meet again under different situations, said Garuda as he looks at Hinata. Yes, most definitely, agreed Hinata as Garuda flies toward the inn he is staying at with Lady Vishnu. Garuda is flying, think he could do something about the village, but also thinks about the village hidden in the whirlpool, seeing a possible way to rebuild the Uzumaki clan. Looks like this village is going to hell. Looks like I need to free it, thought Garuda as he proceeds towards the inn. Chapter 2, Rebirthing of Whirlpool. Garuda and Lady V are sleeping in a bed together, cuddling in a dark room. It has been a day since they brought back Sasuke Uchiha and now they are sleeping in Anbu prison. Sasuke Uchiha is hanging upside down by his ankles by a chain. He has been like this since he has been returned to Konoha by Garuda. Right now all he can think about is Garuda, who defeated him so easily. Whatever power he has I will have when I take it from him, thought a power-mongering Uchiha. Back with Garuda and Vishnu. Both Garuda and Lady V are making their way towards the Hokage Tower until a boy in a green long-sleeve shirt with a long blue scarf and black pants bumps into Garuda. You okay, little buddy? Asked Garuda as he helps the young boy to his feet. The boy looks at Garuda with awe and shock at the figure's features. I'm alright, thank you, sir. I apologize, I wasn't seeing where I was going, said the boy in question. Konohamaru, where are you? Said a scarred Chunin as he looks to see Konohamaru talking with a strange man with wings. The Chunin approached slowly. It's okay, sir. Me and my companion were just walking towards the Hokage Tower to collect my bounty and I bumped into young Konohamaru here, explained Garuda as Iruka let out a calming sigh. My mistake for assuming the worst. I will just be taking Konohamaru here with me back to the academy. He has a test to be completed, said Iruka as he bows in apology and walks off with Konohamaru. Same old Iruka and same old Konohamaru, thought Garuda as he and Lady V goes towards the Hokage Tower. As they near the Hokage Tower they see a group of Anbu in front of the Hokage Tower's entrance. Yes, I am here to see the Hokage about the bounty for Sasuke Uchiha, said Garuda as he looks at the Anbu in question, noticing that they don't seem like normal Anbu. By order of the Council of Konoha you are to surrender for crimes against the Uchiha, said the Anbu in an almost robotic tone. Garuda thinks, great, these guys are hardcore root butt fuckers Gigi warned me about. Well, it looks like I get to throw some shade over these Anbu and the supposed Council of Konoha, as Garuda and Lady V get into their fighting stances. The fight, or more like a ballistic stomp, happens as Garuda and Lady V fight the disguised root Anbu with their unique fighting styles. Lady Vishnu with her acrobatic and dance-like form of combat using elegant but strong kicks and decisive throws to overwhelm her half of the group. Garuda using his more honed and tempered brawler-style tactics to overwhelm his group. Soon Tsunade with actual Anbu arrives to find the scene of battle with Garuda and Vishnu patiently waiting for her arrival. What is the meaning of this? Said Tsunade as she looks at the duo in question. This group tried to arrest us on trumped-up charges, explained Lady V as Tsunade turns to the group of Anbu as they try to get up and attack Garuda only to be subdued by Neko, Saru and Taka. They each lift their mask to discover they are dead from cyanide tooths. Damn it, those counselors have root in regular Anbu, thought Tsunade as she turns towards Garuda and Lady V. I apologize, I gave no order for this attempt to arrest you, said Tsunade as she bows in an apologetic tone. You weren't at fault with this, your council should be the ones to blame. I am sure they would pay the bounty handsomely for this transgression, said Naruto in a suggestive tone that Tsunade smirked at. Neko, go and call a council meeting in the chambers. We are going to pay Garuda and Lady Vishnu here their reward, said Tsunade as Neko shunshins towards the council members in question. Please follow me, sir, you will be paid handsomely, said Tsunade in a devious tone that got Garuda and Lady Vishnu smiling. Time skip 30 minutes later. The members of the shinobi, civilian and elder councils are all sitting inside of the meeting chambers waiting for Tsunade. The chamber doors open to reveal Tsunade along with Garuda and Lady Vishnu walking behind her. Lady Hokage, what is the meaning of calling this meeting and why are those two mongrels? The man never got to finish as Garuda using his surprising movement speed to rush at the man and left him by his throat. Mind your tongue, worm. When you speak, said Garuda as he looks at the man dead in his eyes as he throws him back to his chair. I called this meeting to tell your civilians that your powers on military matters, said Tsunade as the civilians look irate at the female Hokage. But Lady Hokage, these two brought back the Uchiha heir in worst conditions, said one civilian as Garuda scoffs at the statement. You civilians don't own me and never will. I am a bounty hunter and mercenary. I don't serve you or this village, said Garuda as he looks at the civilians in question. Oh, I almost forgot, you civilians are going to be paying the bounty on the bastard after the stunt that you tried to pull on me and my beloved Lady Vishnu, said Garuda as he goes and kiss Lady V's hand, getting her to blush. Excuse me, I have a grievance with you about the assault on my son Kiba Inuzuka, said Sum as she looks at Garuda not with anger but with a calm expression. Your son is lewd and indecent of women. That's why he got thrown around like he did, said Garuda as Sum nods in agreement. Well, for the honor of my clan I must issue you a challenge to face him in single combat only using taijutsu and weapons, said Sum as she looked at the winged warrior in question. What are the terms? Asked a curious but stoic Garuda. Simple, whatever the winner wants, said Sum in a calm tone. I will accept. When is the duel? Asked Garuda. At 8 p.m. tonight in the Inuzuka clan compound's battle pit. Said Sum as Garuda bows and says, see you tonight Inuzuka-san, said Garuda as he and Lady Vishnu walk out of the room. I want you cheap bastards to give them your money after the duel. No skipping, no skimming, you got it, said Tsunade, leaking out killing intent towards the civilians in question, who nods fearfully. At the Inuzuka battle pit at night. The entirety of the Inuzuka clan along with Hinata and Hiyashi Hyuga with the Hyuga elders, the elder and civilian councilors, other clan heads, and Tsunade, Shizune and Taunton. Kiba is in the battle pit with his clan's Tekko Kage claws on the backs of his hands. Where is he? Said a civilian councilor impatient with the winged warrior in question. Garuda soon arrives with Lady Vishnu in no armor with a wrestler's mask to hide his identity even from the Byakugan. I am sorry I am late. I wondered what weapon to use on you, dog boy, said Garuda as he jumps into the pit while also throwing his coat to Lady Vishnu. Whatever, bird brain, let's fight, said an overly confident Kiba as he wants to kill the man in question for interfering with him and his woman. Let's, said Garuda as he draws out a blunt spike ball and chain. Getting some of the males to think, badass, as he and Kiba get ready to fight. Okay, you boys know the rules. No ninjutsu or genjutsu. Akamaru is to stay out of the fight. The fight is knockout only, said Sum as she throws a bell in the center signaling the fight. Kiba rushes in and tries to overwhelm Garuda with his savage fighting taijutsu style. However, Garuda, fighting smart, dodges and evades Kiba's attacks and counters with a swift low leg sweep. Kiba recovers and continues his attack. Garuda goes on the offense with his seemingly brawler taijutsu style, attacking with his ball and chain. Kiba manages to dodge the ball but is hit with an elbow to his face, which is followed up by an uppercut. Kiba fights back as best as he can but is soon overpowered by Garuda, who manages to land a swing on his head, knocking some of his teeth out into the ground unmoving. Well, looks like I win, said Garuda as he goes towards Lady Vishnu. Before anyone could warn the winged warrior, Kiba leaps at the winged warrior only to be hit with a sidekick to his solar plexus. Okay, now it's over, said Garuda as he goes toward Lady V to get his jacket. Honor has been satisfied. Name your reward and it will be done, said Sum as Garuda looks over at Hinata and says. I want the marriage contract for one Hinata Hyuga and for Hinata to be unmarked for the travel with me and Lady V, said Garuda as the Hyuga elders are about to protest. Intel Hiyashi leaks out killing intent. I would also like for Hinata to be discharged from the shinobi forces Lady Hokage, as I don't need her tied to the village with Kiba possibly causing me displeasure with Hinata's treatment. Asked Garuda as Tsunade sees that Hinata looks at him with some form of hope, nods in agreement. Hinata, go get your things, you will be going with Garuda, said Hiyashi in a reassuring tone as Hinata nods and goes toward the Hyuga compound. Here, let me help you pack, said Lady V as she goes with Hinata to make sure of no funny business. The Hyuga elders are angry with the outcome of the fight, tries to attack Garuda but two of them are killed by Hiyashi, who looks at the rest with a warning. Soon, here is some meat for some of your stronger ninja breeds, said Hiyashi as Sum snaps her fingers and two Inuzuka pick up the two dead bodies. Garuda flies towards the hotel to get back on his proper gear. Everyone leaves with Kiba being picked up by an Inuzuka clansman to be carried to the medical station outside of the pit. With Lady V and Hinata. Hinata and Lady Vishnu are getting along quite well as Lady V helps her pack her belongings. Lady V reveals Garuda's backstory as someone who has experienced a great rebirth on a deeply inspirational level. Lady V had the pleasure, or rather displeasure, of meeting Hinata's little sister Hanabi, a very arrogant and vain girl who belittles every Hyuga and including her own sister. Right now Lady Vishnu is walking alongside Hinata outside of the gate. Well Hinata, are you ready for the world? Asked Lady V as she looks at the former Hyuga heiress. Yes, I am very ready. I wish to leave this place. I only hope things for the Branch family get settled soon with or without me, said Hinata as she hopes deep down for change due in part with less of the elders' influence. Come on, let's race, said the eccentric Lady V as she runs towards the hotel. As they race towards the hotel to meet Garuda, who's waiting for them. Well Hinata, are you ready for your new life on the road? Said Garuda as he looks in her eyes, sensing longing for another, with Garuda knowing who is she nods. Yes Garuda-kun, I am ready for it, said Hinata as Garuda picks her up bridal style, with Hinata letting out an eep sound. As Lady V gets on his back, wrapping her arms around his toned chest. The trio take to the sky away from the village. Inside of a secret chamber. Damn it, we let a valuable new bloodline slip through our fingers, said Danzo as Homura and Kaharu nod in agreement. Look on the bright side, at least we have the Uchiha back, said Homura as Danzo nods in understanding of this prospect. Have our spies keep us informed about the activity for this winged warrior, we may be able to learn more about him and his partner, said Danzo as an operative nods in understanding. Back with Garuda and company. Garuda lands near a village to stop for rest from the trip from Konoha. Hinata gets the sensation of her legs back as she feels somewhat excited from her travel. The trio get a hotel room for the night. Garuda locks the door and puts a security seal on the room and a dark seal on the window. Hinata-chan, there's something I need to show you, said Garuda as he gets the attention of the Hyuga in question. Garuda takes off his mask to reveal himself to be Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, shocking Hinata. Naruto-kun, why you're alive, said Hinata as she rushes and jumps in his arms, locking lips with him in a passionate frenzy. Breaking the kiss, Hinata locks eyes with him. What happened to you all this time, and how did you get these beautiful wings? They are like angels' wings. Are you an angel? Asked Hinata as she looks at her revealed blonde husband. Naruto proceeds to reveal to her that he descends from the Uzumaki clan royalty and from an interdimensional warrior of extraordinary abilities. Revealing how he obtained his new bloodline. Hinata for her part had listened and was beyond amazed that her husband is descendant of not only one of the most powerful clans but also a warrior from an unknown point of existence. Inside the secret base of the Akatsuki. Itachi is now hearing the news of how Naruto, while in the guise of Garuda, defeated Sasuke and returned him to his home village. Closing his eyes, he sighs deeply. Foolish little brother. You only got stronger in the power given to you, not your skill that you neglected to improve and gain. The hologram of him and Kisame deactivates. As the duo leaves to travel towards an unknown destination. Back with Naruto and company. Naruto under the guises Garuda is flying, carrying both Fu disguised as Lady Vishnu on his back and Hinata being carried bridal style as he is flying past water country to visit the country known as Whirlpool where his mother came from. They are in awe at the vast architectural structures of Whirlpool country, from the structures of its defensive walls, fortifications and its building design being well made despite the Uzumakis being scattered to the winds. Naruto looks around to see the remains of the Uzumaki clan and the remains of their attacker. Seeing the battle site, Naruto thinks, they must have put up a hell of a fight against the invaders. But from what I can tell, the Uzumaki clan. The trio walks around the area until Naruto catches an arrow fired at his head. Soon the trio is surrounded by 5 men. They look to have garb similar to the ninja from Suna with turban-like dresswear and samurai-like armor. Who are you, and state your business? Said one of the warriors in question. I am Garuda, me and my companions are here to visit my ancestral home of Uzushio in Whirlpool country. Said Naruto, slipping into his Garuda persona. I am Bajuk, we are of the Oghuz tribe, we are of the western continent. We came here to seek a permanent home, we seek not to disturb your ancestral home in any way. Said Bajuk as Naruto, Hinata and Fu look at him with interest. You said you are from the western continent. Tell me more of your people because I believe we can help each other, asked Naruto as Bajuk gestures for the trio to follow him. They soon travel to the base camp of the Oghuz people. Hinata and Fu see within the camp children playing and some women making art. Other women are practicing fighting techniques foreign to both Fu and Hinata, with Hinata sensing a familiarity in the unarmed aspects. When did your people arrive in Uzu? I thought the whirlpools would rip ships apart if they got near. Said Naruto, curious of his people's arrival. Yes, they would if you didn't know how to maneuver around whirlpools. My people also have a history of naval combat and whirlpool avoidance is our special skill on the sea, answered Bajuk as they traveled to the leader's tent. At the tent, a man with a golden turban on his head towering over both Bajuk and Naruto as he looks at the trio. Bajuk, who are these you have brought here? Asked the tall man. Hetman Yusuf, I bring with me 3 strangers, with the winged one being a descendant of this land. Explained Bajuk as Yusuf looks at the trio in question with a critical eye. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, descendant of the Uzumaki clan and first of the Neo-Garuda. I go by Garuda to hide myself from the eyes of my enemies," answered Naruto as he takes off his helmet to reveal his face. I have heard of this Uzumaki clan, but I thought they had red hair," asked Yusuf, sensing something from the blonde that may lead to the answer or may lead to having to try to kill Naruto. "I am on my mother's side, and through that side if Uzumaki side my power of the Garuda of old awakens from," answered Naruto as Yusuf senses no lying from the boy. "So Uzumaki, what brings you here to your home?" asked Yusuf as he looks at the blonde with a critical eye. "To visit my ancestry and find a purpose in this world. I only seek to understand my past to unlock my future with my lovers with me on my journey," answered Naruto as Yusuf looks at Fu and Hinata. "So Naruto, do you seek to banish us from your land?" asked Yusuf as several of his tribesmen looks at Naruto while with hands on their hilts. "I actually wanted to hear your history of why you traveled from your home continent to Uzushio. For it may help me with what I think may be best for my people," said Naruto, surprising Yusuf with his question. "Come follow me," said Yusuf as he guides trio of ninja inside of his tent. Back in Konoha, Tsunade is swamped with paperwork like another day. She thinks back to how the council had pardoned Sasuke behind her back 2 days ago. That day was both a dreadful but somewhat satisfying day. Flashback 2 days earlier. Tsunade is teaching key medical skills and knowledge to Ino, Tenten and several other kunoichi and ninja wanting to become medical nin. As she finishes up a lecture on arteries, Shizune busts in the room with a shock. "Lady Tsunade, the daimyo has sent this to us," said Shizune as she looks at Tsunade as she hands her the scroll. Tsunade reading the scroll scowls. "Class dismissed," said Tsunade as she looks at Shizune who equals her scowl as they along with everyone else leaves for their respective studies. Sasuke can be seen walking outside with a smug smirk as Tsunade meets him along with the civilian council and elder council. "Oh Lady Hokage, thank you for returning my headband to me," said Sasuke as he takes his headband from Tsunade. "Thank you old ba," Sasuke never got to finish as she smack him in his mouth. "You will address me as Lady Tsunade or Lady Hokage Uchiha, or so help me I will neuter you and make you into a enoch," said Tsunade in a cold tone. "Lady Hokage, that was uncalled for, especially since he killed the dem." The man never got to finish as Tsunade leaked out killing intent. "Finish that sentence and you will have a closed casket funeral," said Tsunade in a tone that left no bullshit. "Uchiha, if you betray the village you will be begging that Garuda killed you," said Tsunade as she walks away with Shizune following. Flashback end. She can think about how her blonde Gaki would be doing in a time like this. Back with Naruto and company. Yusuf had explained how his people were forced to run from their country when their Khan had been overly warlike and cruel over the years to the point where he killed another tribe of allied to them. It all came to head when Yusuf explained that he and a small band of his warriors had attacked the Khan's convoy and slew the tyrannical Khan, taking the man's prized iron saber. "Your people I can see are honest. What I purpose is that you help me with rebuilding Uzushio and you'll have a place in the elementals in Neo Uzushio," suggested Naruto as Yusuf thinks on this prospect as Naruto waits for his answer. "Yes, I will consider this," said Yusuf as Naruto bows in thanks. "Can I ask you something?" asked Naruto as Yusuf nods for him to ask. "Are there any more foreigners like you in Whirlpool?" asked Naruto, curious of how many clans there are in Whirlpool. "Yes, 3 groups of people. The Lin Kuei from Xing, Drajos from Darkma, Lama warrior monks from Shambhala. They are located north, west and east of the country, in territories to themselves," answered Yusuf as Naruto nods at this. "Well my friend and my loves, looks like we got work to do to rebuild Uzushio into a village and a fierce fighting force. I can't promise you we will stay out of war, but I will make sure your people will see another," said Naruto as he places his helmet back. As Hinata and Fu nods and Yusuf and Bajuk nod in understanding as Naruto speaks as if giving orders. "Hinata, you will go to the north to speak with the Lin Kuei. Fu, you will go to the Drajos in the west. I will speak with the warrior monks about joining the rebuilding of Uzushio. While the Ogu's people are strong, we need more people for what's to come," said Naruto as he flies off towards the east to the warrior monks from Shambhala. Hinata going to the north, Fu to the east. Naruto for his part knows that while he couldn't be accepted by Konoha, he can be accepted by building a place for himself and others like him. "Neo Uzu, here we come," thought Naruto as he travels toward the encampment of the warrior monks of Shambhala. Hinata traveling towards the northern territory of the Lin Kuei and Fu traveling towards the encampment of the Drajos warriors. Hinata is unaware she is being watched by a spy of the Lin Kuei. "Things are going to be interesting after all," thought the Lin Kuei spy as he watches Hinata travel towards the north. Elsewhere in the elemental nations, Jiraiya is reviewing reports on his spy network when he feels the wind blow deeply, feeling a return of a great power. The winds are changing, something new is going to hit the elementals with a great change, thought Jiraiya. Chapter 3, Rise of Neo Uzushio. Naruto, Hinata and Fu had arrived at the encampments of the Lin Kuei, Drajos warriors, Lama warrior monks. For Naruto, he had convinced the Lama warriors monks to consider joining Neo Uzushio, reasoning that their practices of spirituality would be welcomed, and their teachings learned among others. Fu had convinced the Drajos warriors into consider joining, reasoning they could use their insight on battlefield combat and tactics to help make the village stronger if they care to join. Hinata had convinced Lin Kuei to consider joining Neo Uzushio due to their skills as fighters, infiltrators and assassins. Their skills are very welcomed in the elementals. Each leader nods in agreement to meet each other with Yusuf in a neutral place. They are allowed one bodyguard each and no one else to hear. At the moment, Naruto is waiting for his lovers to return with their entourage group. Fu walks with the leader of the Drajos people and his bodyguard, a tall well-built man with wild hair and a ponytail and golden predatory eyes. He and his bodyguards wear armor similar to the samurai, only with a winged dragon style design to it. Hinata walks in with the leader of the Lin Kuei, a woman with long black hair in a white battle cheongsam dress that shows off her toned legs and athletic figure. She wears stylish combat boots with visible steel plates, metallic bracers. Her two bodyguards are wearing combat-oriented Changpao uniforms, all with a bestial figure on the back of their shirts, similar plated boots and metal bracers. Soon the leader of the Lama warriors arrives with his bodyguards. All three are wearing clothes Hinata, Fu and Naruto are familiar with. The leader is a man with a shaved head in black and white robes, with the fighting gear being similar to ninja monks of the elemental nations. Beside him on both his right and left is a woman with Amazon-like build with short black hair and a dog of massive size with fur, making it be mistaken for a lion, walks into the room. "Greetings everyone," said the monk as he bows in greetings to everyone. As everyone returns the gesture in their own unique way. "Okay, now that you are all here, let's get started," said Yusuf as Naruto steps forward alongside Fu and Hinata. "I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, possibly the last member of the Uzumaki clan and the Garuda people. I have asked each of you here for your friendship and alliance to help form Neo Uzushio, a military village," said Naruto as the three leaders look at him with an inquisitive eye as he continues. "What's in it for us?" asked the leader of the Drajos people as he looks at Naruto with interest. "Yes, I agree with Vladimir here. Why should we?" asked the Lin Kuei leader as she looks at the blonde with interest. "Well, it's due to a goal that can be explained by me asking about the history of your people," answered Naruto as he looks at the two in question, as they told their respective histories. The female leader of the Lin Kuei named Ying had explained why she and her group of Lin Kuei fled towards the elementals after the old branch was running itself down into destruction with constant backstabbing and side changing. She wanted the ways of the Lin Kuei to flourish in a new environment. Naruto listened with understanding at seeing as how the Uzumaki clan had felt the same way when it was part of the Senmaki clan, which became the Uzumaki clan. Vladimir told of his people's story of coming to the elementals due to seeing his homeland lose their warriors' way as they brought about reforms that hurt the culture rather than strengthen it, by censoring the past and arresting anyone teaching the uncensored parts of history. They left to keep their culture and history alive. Naruto understands how his people was just about erased from the history books in Konoha by the civilian council to try and control history for their Uchiha masters. The leader of the Lama warriors, a man of great wisdom by the name of Tien, explained how his people had experienced prejudice and shunning due to their religious practice. They left when there was an inquisition of the Lama warriors which saw some killed. Naruto connects to this in a sense of how he had experienced prejudice even in a place of worship by the villagers. "I can tell you, I can share your feelings and reasons," said Naruto as they look at the blonde in question as he turns towards Vladimir. "Vladimir-san, I share this feeling as my clan has been nearly erased from existence by the corrupt leaders of Uzushio's sister village Konoha." Naruto turns towards Ying. "Lady Ying, my clan was originally one with the Senju clan, which was the Senmaki clan, but long fighting with the clan had made them move away from the mainland." Naruto lastly turns to Tien. "Tien-sama, I share your experience with prejudice as I myself have been a subject of it when I was in Konoha, even in a place of worship. All of us have many things in common with one another. I ask you all here because I want to rebuild my ancestral village. You all want to live your lives in relative peace, with each one of your cultures growing and flourishing in Whirlpool country. What I purpose is that we join together to form Neo Uzushio. Within it your peoples can fight together and learn together. As in the elemental nations, war can spread to different places not associated. While I have no doubt you all are incredible people with your unique knowledge of warfare, you would be greatly outmaneuvered and outnumbered if an invading force decided to plunder your side of Uzu," answered Naruto as he looks at the leaders in question. Each leader looks at each other and look at Naruto as they each think about what they could achieve. While they may be powerful warriors individually, they can become more than a force to be reckoned with while also learning from one another about each other's way of life. They see in front of them a way of developing their own respective peoples while also coming together as community of foreigners on foreign land. I agree for the Drajos people joining Neo-Uzushio, said Vladimir. I agree for the Lin Kuei people joining Neo-Uzushio, said Ying. I agree for the Lama warriors joining Neo-Uzushio, said Tian. I agree for the Oghuz people joining Neo-Uzushio, said Yusuf. Fu and Hinata are in awe at how Naruto convincing different groups of people to join his reforming village. Thank you all for joining. Our journey is long and strained, but I believe that we can build a new Uzushio in no time, said Naruto, reassuring the leaders of the foreign peoples. Yes, but what do you have to bring to the table for Uzushio? Asked Vladimir as he looks at the blonde. I bring to the table the knowledge of my ancestors, the sealing jutsu, the ninjutsu I know, and the Garuda arts, said Naruto as Hinata steps forward. I bring to the table knowledge on the tenketsu points in the human body, said Hinata as she holds Naruto's hand. I bring knowledge of water-based jutsu from C to low B rank levels, said Fu as she looks at Naruto with hope in her eyes. Well, let us begin, said Yusuf as he is more than willing to learn. The next 13 months are long but fruitful as Naruto, Fu and Hinata teaches the fundamentals of the fields they know. Naruto and Fu also revealed that they Jinchuriki containers of tailed beasts, powerful entities known inside of the elemental nations. The peoples are more understand when Naruto explained their roles. In return, Naruto, Hinata and Fu were taught the foreign people's ways. Hinata had learned from the Lin Kuei the art of the Qilin Quan, a style that combines rapid kicking, grappling and combat acrobatics along with the use of the Dao sword. Learning from the Drajos people, she learned to better protect herself on the battlefield when it came to dirty tactics by teaching her battlefield combatives. The Lama warriors taught her spirit purification and tracking, effectively removing her 360° gap in her sight, as well as teaching her how to channel spiritual energy from within her to enhance her attributes of speed, flexibility and reflexes. The Oghuz taught her about explosives and naval warfare, also teaching her the Demur Yumruck, a fighting form that combines unarmed combat and dance into a highly refined and developed fighting form, greatly improving her combat ability. Fu learned from the Lin Kuei Spider Quan, a style that negates the advantages of any opponent whether they are stronger, faster, more experienced or more skilled. The Drajos people gave Fu tips on how she can use her ability to fly for combat recon. The Lama warriors had taught Fu how to channel her spiritual energy to enhance her agility and fluidity. The Oghuz had taught Fu the use of tactical impact bombs that are designed to stun or incapacitate opposition. She also gained understanding in the use of naval cannons. Naruto was trained extensively harder by the four groups, pushing his already advanced combat skills to new levels. Ying had taught Naruto Lion Quan, a fist that focuses on heavy strikes, grapples and vicious bone breaking, along with teaching him pressure points. Vladimir teaches Naruto extensively in their tactics and modes of warfare. Yusuf taught Naruto about naval combat. Tien taught Naruto spirit purification and sensory. At the moment, Naruto and Fu are with Tien at their home shrine. Tien realized that there is a workaround to their situations as being containers. By explaining how he could just place their consciousness inside of an organic clay golem that can trap energy like tailed beast energy. Fu and Naruto, along with Tien using his telepathic powers, had explained that the bijus in this form would be purified of any energies that have tainted their beings. Kurama, intrigued by the mystic monk's idea, agreed to the process, seeing he doesn't have to be tied to the winged blonde. Naruto had also reinforced the chamber with chakra seals. Alright, all set. The process will hurt you too. Sure you will be alright? Asked Tien as he looks at Naruto and Fu. Yes, my mother survived the extraction process. It wouldn't be outside of my survival thanks to the Garuda, said Naruto as he holds Fu's hand reassuringly. I'll be fine. Chome said she will leave some chakra for me to help me survive, said Fu as she smiles at Naruto and Hinata as they then begin the process. Tien using the talisman of the 7 moons to extract the tailed beast inside of Fu first. The process was a sight of an incredible history in the making, as Fu, instead of screaming or feeling anything, felt herself being energized greatly as Chome soon transitions inside of the organic clay golem. Naruto and others sees an aurora borealis in the room as Chome goes completely inside of her golem, changing the golem's form into that of a woman with butterfly-like wings. The golem soon becomes a being of living flesh as it opens its eyes, revealing blue eyes with a ripple pattern. She has green hair, sporting a build akin to an athletic buxom supermodel. Naruto is surprised at the pattern. It must take after the pattern of the sage's eyes, thought Naruto as he hands a naked Chome some clothes. Greetings Naruto, it's good to see you without being chained to my little larva, said Chome as she moves to greet Naruto. Likewise, Chome, now let's get grumpy out of me, said Naruto. I heard that blondie, said Kurama telepathically as Naruto chuckles as he takes off his shirt, getting looks of awe from the llama warriors at his wings being naturally a part of him. Several women of the Lin Kuei looks at Naruto with hearts in their eyes as he lays on the table. Okay, ready Tien-san, said Naruto as Tien uses the talisman of 7 moons on Naruto as his form is permeating. Kurama himself feels the purify energies of the talisman surging within him. Soon Kurama is transferred inside of the organic clay golem, transforming it into a powerful and fierce-looking man standing 6 feet 6. His form is highly muscular and athletic but somewhat lean. Kurama sports Uzumaki crimson hair. When he opens his eyes they reveal a pure crimson in the iris of the eyes. Kurama gets looks of want from the females in the room minus Hinata and Fu, who goes to check up on Naruto seeing he's fine from the process. So Kurama, what will you do now with your newfound freedom? Asked Naruto as a blushing female Lin Kuei warrior hands Kurama a robe to put on. From the energy of the talisman of 7 moons I have been purified from malice. I feel something like it that is pure, not ignorant rage, but a rage that would make me shake with fear. Righteous fury, said Kurama as he looks into Naruto's eyes. My answer is I become the guardian of Neo Uzushio, answered Kurama as he looks at the blonde with a smile. So Chome, what will you do? Asked Fu as she looks at the now flesh golem Chome. Well, like Kurama ne-san, I want to be a guardian of Uzushio, especially I want to see some godchildren from you Naruto, said Chome as Hinata, Fu and Naruto blush at the statement, with Naruto blushing deeper than before. Everyone around chuckles at the blonde's predicament. Elsewhere in the elemental nations, the Akatsuki trying to find the 2 missing Jinchurikis. The leader believes that Konoha still has the 9-tailed Jinchuriki and Waterfall banished their Jinchuriki. At the moment the leader known as Pain is looking over the map of the reports of Zetsu, who has been searching non-stop for the 2 missing Jinchuriki. 9-tails Jinchuriki, where are you? You cannot escape from me, thought Madara, who's looking over the map. Back with Naruto and company. Naruto can be seen flying towards nations to ask for a trade alliance and contract work for his forces. Through this Neo Uzushio begins to gain the resources needed for Neo Uzu, which also brought in disgruntled shinobi looking for a new life and home, which brought them into contact with Neo Uzu, which had brought in travelers wishing to. Kurama and Chome had culled the rotten newcomers from the not-so-rotten newcomers and put them through a method Naruto based off of the Phoenix Gate method he called the Fire Gate, that effectively removing the possibility of infiltrators by having the foreign people stay inside of a specific area and being told not to go outside of the residential area. The Ogu's people had built a sea castle to help serve as a training base for the Neo Uzu Navy and Marine Corps, introducing new recruits into the Navy and Marines. The Lin Kuei gained some new recruits from the foreigners. The Lama warriors had recruited many new converts into their religious practices. The Drajos people had also found many women and men marrying into their culture, adopting it for them. At the moment Naruto is traveling back towards Uzushio, nearing water country after visiting the spring daimyo Koyuki. Naruto is smiling at Koyuki's reaction. Flashback 1 week ago. Naruto in the guise of Garuda is flying towards spring country so he could get a trade agreement with Snow Daimyo for some of her newer technology. As he travels he sees that spring country has gotten itself back on its feet with what he sees as he sees ports being opened, rebuilt and remodeled. He soon reaches the capital, seeing it more modernized than ever before. As Naruto lands he sees the city streets with more clean and well-modeled sidewalks. He walks towards a hotel so he could rest from his long trip, so he could get rest and check the trade agreement. Naruto checked inside of the hotel. He proceeds to check the hotel and check the trade agreement in question. Naruto proceeds to seal the door and windows, take off his equipment and sleep. The next day, Naruto in his Garuda guise goes towards the daimyo's court with the trade agreement. Naruto is internally giddy when he gets to see one of the people he helped save in the past. He checks in to let the daimyo and her court of his presence. Naruto soon walks into the daimyo's court. The people look at Naruto with awe as they have seen bloodlines that feature multiple body parts, dojutsus of some sorts, but never have they seen someone with wings before. Greetings Lady Koyuki, it's an honor to meet you. I am Garuda of Neo Uzushio. I am here to ask for a trade agreement between my village and your nation. Introduced Naruto as he still has his helmet on, bowing in respect. Greetings Lord Garuda, it's not every day I get to meet someone of your unique abilities, said Koyuki as she looks at Garuda with interest. Before we begin, can you please take off your helmet so we can know your face? Asked Koyuki as she looks at the man in question. Certainly, but could you please keep my face a secret? I need secrecy from my enemies who hide in the shadows and in the light, said Naruto as Koyuki nods in agreement. No one will reveal your identity within this room, promised Koyuki as she sees the figure slowly remove the straps to his helmet. Naruto takes off his helmet, revealing his face to the court. Without his whisker marks, Koyuki looks at him strangely due to the appearance Naruto has then and now. Pardon me Garuda-sama, are you perhaps related to Naruto Uzumaki? Asked Koyuki as she looks at him curiously. No, I am more than that. I am Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto as he gets out a marker and marks his face with whiskers, shocking the female daimyo at his appearance. Koyuki is wide-eyed at this reveal. The boy she thought was dead was really alive and with a new appearance. Naruto, you're alive, but how? Asked Koyuki with joy of her friend being alive and well. It's a long story. I hope you and your court are ready for a wild story, said Naruto as he begins to tell how he survived his failed mission to retrieve, how he gained a bloodline from being struck by lightning, gaining the weapons of an ancestor from a race of humanoid winged warriors, to his plans on building Neo Uzushio with warriors from the western continent. From everyone's point of view, Naruto has become the most interesting person in the room. Incredible, said one advisor as he looks at the blonde winged warrior. Yes, it is, said Naruto as he looks at everyone with a smile. Now on to business, said Naruto as he gets out the agreement he written up. Naruto showed the agreement that details the terms that are reasonable, with Spring Country giving some of its C to low A ranked missions to Neo Uzushio along with giving them some technology to help them develop. In exchange, Neo Uzushio will send specialists to help train samurai forces in key skills that require dangerous battlefield assignments, as well as engage in special operations when called. Koyuki is interested with Neo Uzushio's fighting force, asks what they have in terms of a fighting force. Naruto revealed they have highly capable marine raiders in the Ogu's people he codenamed the Sea Wolves, an elite force of shock troops of the Drajos people that are codenamed the Crimson Dragoons, a fierce light infantry unit of the Lin Kuei called the Savage White Tigers. Each one of the units have their own unique enhanced abilities that Naruto could only describe as being remarkable. So Koyuki, do you agree to this trade agreement? Asked Naruto as Koyuki smiles at the question. Flashback end. Koyuki had agreed to the trade agreement wholeheartedly. She was also had given Naruto a gift for Hinata and Fu in the form of 2 beautiful dresses with matching shoes. As he thinks about the gifts, he finds himself struggling to maintain his flight during the wind current he's trying to fight. The winds are getting stronger and stronger. Soon Naruto falls out of the sky. Naruto is trying to recover from the free fall but finds it harder and harder. He manages to glide his fall in a nearby river soon. The fall cracked his helmet open. Naruto climbs out of the river with a deep concussion and soon 10 individuals surround him. Naruto, before blacking out, sees that they aren't root but something else. An hour and 30 minutes. Naruto awakens to find himself chained to a rock, his hands bound and his helmet cracked and on the ground. He feels someone whipping his face of the blood from his head wound as it heals. Ah, you're awake. We were hoping you would answer some questions, said a kunoichi who has an outfit that shows some of her cleavage. Naruto looks up at the kunoichi. Who are you? Asked Naruto as his vision starts to clear up to see 10 ninja Amazons surrounding him. I am Shizuka, leader of the Nadeshiko Amazons. You are on the outskirts of Nadeshiko village, introduced Shizuka as she looks at the blonde wingman in front of her, analyzing his wings and features. Now who are you and why were you flying over my village? Asked Shizuka as she looks at the winged blonde in question. I am Garuda, the leader of Neo Uzushio. I was coming home from Spring Country with a trade agreement for my village, answered Naruto as Shizuka looks at him quizzically as she looks at his damaged helmet. Prove it, said a ninja Amazon as Naruto breaks the chain holding him and takes out the scroll of said agreement to show Shizuka. Shizuka reads it and nods in confirmation. The ninja Amazons are surprised that the blonde broke chakra chains, that are enhanced with reinforced seals. You are telling the truth, but tell me what's your real name is? Asked Shizuka as she looks at Naruto with interest. I cannot tell you, said Naruto as looks at the Amazon leader in question. I am afraid cannot leave unless you beat me in combat, said Shizuka as she gets out her ninjutsu. I will do what I must, said Naruto as he gets out his double-edged short sword. Both proceed to engage in a fierce sword fight. Naruto collides with Shizuka, matching he sword for sword. Shizuka is taken aback by Naruto's surmounting strength as when she blocks each sword strike she feels tremors in her arms. Naruto is taken aback by Shizuka's speed and wiry agility for her to redirect his sword strikes, albeit with a measure of difficulty. The fight lasts for 3 long hours. Naruto and Shizuka's sword skill goes back and forth with one another. Naruto's Trisato brawler technique is competing with Shizuka's acrobatic technique of Crescent Moon Dance. Shizuka flips over Naruto after dodging a strike from him. Shizuka is about to land until Naruto lands a kick to her stomach, knocking her to the ground hard. Shizuka recovers and shoots out a fireball at Naruto. Naruto, using his wing, performs a tornado spin, dissipating the flames of the fireball with a powerful spin. Naruto fires back with lightning that hits Shizuka, knocking her to the ground, staggering her. Shizuka recovers and is about to get up until Naruto has her at sword point. The battle is over, I win, said Naruto as he looks at the Amazon leader with a calm look. Yes, you have. You are a remarkable warrior, I only hope our daughter can be the same, said Shizuka as Naruto looks at her confused at the Ravenette's statement. What do you mean? Asked Naruto as he looks at her with questioning eyes. Well, you see, for a ninja Amazon to be married they would have to fight their suitor, and should he win he would be married, if he loses he will die, said Shizuka as Naruto is disgusted by the law of Nadeshiko village. Why would you let such a barbaric law be in place for so long? Asked Naruto, disgusted by how relationships are started in their village. It's been that way ever since the begin, but I feel its time is growing near to the end, said Shizuka as she feels sad about something or someone. Tell me your story, asked Naruto as Shizuka looks at him and tells him of what happened years back to a merchant named Sagiri. Tell him how she was in love with him and told him about his death. Believing that the village elders had something to do with it, Naruto for the first time feels the need to see punishment done on someone. Where are your village elders? Asked Naruto in an angered tone. Shizuka shows Naruto to her village elders, who are all just relaxing in luxury of what seemed like different goods of different marriages. Naruto sees that the elders are no good parasites. Soon he slaughters each and every one of them in brutal fashion. You are free to make your own choices, chose your destiny, said Naruto as he flies off with his repaired helmet. As Shizuka watches Naruto fly, she thinks about what's in store for her in her village. Thank you Garuda, I will always remember you for your act. Especially remember your face, thought Shizuka as she blushes at remembering his handsome face. Naruto manages to use Garuda alchemy to repair his helmet. He however feels the pain in his wings from his crash and his fight with Shizuka. He lands near a village so he could recover from the damage. He creates a shadow clone and sends the clone with the trade agreement papers ahead to Neo Uzu so he could rest. Good grief, what a day, thought Naruto as he heads to the village. Time skip 6 months later in Spring Country. At a naval fort, a platoon of Ashigaru in training are running laps around a designated zone of sorts with what seems to be a sea wolf member clad in lamellar armor with a turban helmet leading the march. Left 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 right right left. Keep moving, I will make you lot soldiers of the sea even if I got to kill you, shouted Ogu's sea wolf member. As he seems to be the drill sergeant of these platoon of Ashigaru as in another area. Another member of the sea wolves along with a veteran samurai is teaching unarmed combat to their platoon. Come on, hit him, this is no playground dance, you are a soldier, hit him hard and fast, don't let up on your assault, said the sea wolf marine as he oversee the sparring match. Elsewhere in Sea Country. A small strike force of sea wolves are assaulting a base of operations involving what seems to be a lair full of mutants of sorts. The marine raiders are fiercely fighting their way inside of the base, taking down any mutant that gets in their way using their saber, spear, daggers, truncheons and their bare hands. A scientist who seems to be the leader of the band of mutant raiders is running scared of said fighting force tearing apart his creations. Isaribi, go install them, commanded the scientist. No, give me the cure, I don't want to be stuck like this, Amachi-sama, said Isaribi as she looks at him with a demanding look. A marine drops down from the ceiling. Girl, move away from the man, he is only a lair and a cheat for him not to give you a cure for all you have done for him, he will use you, said the sea wolf as he looks at the man in question. Amachi grabs Isaribi and holds her at blade point before transforming. Stay back or I'll kill this bitch, said Amachi as Isaribi is afraid and feeling betrayal by the man. Your beast are dying, you have nowhere else to run, said the sea wolf as he looks to see a sea wolf with a dagger ready to fly at Amachi. Tell your force to withdraw or I'll arg. Amachi never got to finish as a dagger is found in his back. Amachi finds himself falling to the ground with dead. Are you alright, miss? Asked a concerned sea wolf as he looks at a worried Isaribi. No, I'm cursed with what that bastard did to me, said Isaribi as she looks at the raider with sadness and loss of hope. Not to worry ma'am, our leader has something that might help your predicament, said the sea wolf, which gives Isaribi hope for his future. Elsewhere in the elemental nations. 2 men in black cloaks with red clouds can be seen walking towards the gates of Suna unnoticed by some of Suna guards, but they are noticed by a member of the Lin Kuei who's stalking them from the shadows. Chapter 4, Secrets Revealed. Inside of Konoha. Tsunade is reading reports about the rebuilding and reconstruction of Uzushio into Neo Uzushio. She reads how several Oto bases were attacked by strange warriors, being the symbol of Neo Uzushio. Tsunade also doesn't know who the leader of Neo Uzushio is. As she is reading the reports, Shizune rushes into the room. Lady Hokage, shouted Shizune with urgency as Tsunade looks at Shizune with worry. What is Shizune? Asked a concerned Tsunade as she looks at her apprentice. Suna has been attacked, the case cage has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki, said Shizune as Tsunade looks in horror. Sending any available teams towards Suna to help with any wounded or sick. If possible, help pursue the case cage's kidnappers. ordered Tsunade, and Shizune moves towards the messenger hawk cages. In Neo Uzushio inside of a communications room. So they are making their move good because we can now begin our anti-Akatsuki operations, said Naruto to a screen as he gets his armor on with Fu, and Hinata following alongside a young female Drajos shock trooper, a seasoned male Ogu's marine, and skilled Lin Kuei guerrilla fighter. Your orders are simply to rescue the cage and kill any Akatsuki member in the area. Remember, if Itachi is to be encountered, leave him to me. Is that understood? Said Naruto as everyone nods in agreement. Good, let's move out, said Naruto as he gets places on his Garuda helmet on. The group moves towards Suna using a special teleportation gate Naruto, Tien and Vladimir developed for rapid travel in the elementals. In Suna, Temari is assessing the battle damage, seeing many wounded and several dead in Suna shinobis as they are putting out fires. Suna beam of light shines down. As it dies down, it reveals the Neo Uzushio group. Many of the Suna shinobis surround the group. Hinata, stand down everyone, she is a friend, said Temari as she walks towards the group. We came as soon as our operative in the area had reported the Akatsuki in the area, said Hinata as Temari looks at her group. Who are we? Asked a confused Temari. Oh, we are Neo Uzu's executive assault squad, that is tasked with the destruction of the Akatsuki and their operations, said Hinata as the female Drajos warrior comes forward. I am Lilandra of Neo Uzu's Blue Dragons, answered Lilandra as the Lin Kuei warrior steps forward. I am Tomas of the 5th Commando Group, answered Tomas as the Ogu's veteran steps forward. I am Perli of the 4th Devil Dog Marines unit, answered Perli as Naruto in his guise as Garuda steps forward. I am Garuda Uzukage of Neo Uzushio. This is my consort and fellow lover of Hinata, Lady Vishnu or Lady V, introduced Naruto, still keeping up the foresight of the mercenary turned cage as he bows to Temari. Happy to make your acquaintance, said Fu in the guise as Lady Vishnu. Greetings Uzukage, I am grateful for you being here, said Temari as she looks at the winged figure with awe. No problem Temari Sabaku, after all. A mutual friend of your brother had pleaded for me to help, said Garuda as Temari thinks on his words. Soon a team from Konoha barrages in with Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, ninja named Sai and Kakashi Hatake. Everyone except the Uzu group look at the Konoha group with distaste. We're here to help the weak people of Suna, said Sasuke as Asuma, Kurenai, and Anko pushes past him. Pardon the dumbass, he doesn't speak for us. We came to assist Suna as best we could, said Anko as Sakura screeches. Silence Snake Whore no speaks too. Sakura never got to finish as Perli punches her in her throat, silencing her. Thank you handsome Pinky was getting on my nerves, said Anko as she looked at the Ogu's marine. No problem ma'am, happy to help, said Perli as a Lin Kuei leaps next to Garuda. Report, commanded Garuda. Garuda-sama, the enemy has made their way to a cave that is guarded by a complex ceiling matrix, said the Lin Kuei as he looks at the winged man. Good, go back to your post and wait for further orders. Let's move to recover the cage, said Garuda as he and his group move. See you Mestresi, said Perli as he winks at Anko, who is charmed by the marine as he walks away. What a man, thought Anko as she looks at the marine raider with love in her eyes as he along with their group, moved towards the section, with the Konoha group following behind to support them with Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke grudgingly doing so. They soon encounter Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigake. Sasuke charging in blind rage attacks but is casually defeated. Naruto using his helmet's sensors discovers these are not the real ones, only remote-controlled body doubles. He commanded his group to ignore them, revealing they're only controlled body doubles. They leave as the doubles are destroyed when Naruto uses a wind current to dismember them. The group manages to stumble upon the cave where Gaara is being held. So what now Garuda dope, how will you get inside of this barrier? Asked the egotistical Sasuke as Team Guy shows up to support them. Simply Uchiha runt, I'll do this, said Garuda as he places his hand on the seal as it soon degrades away, revealing Gaara, whose Biju is being extracted by Deidara and Sasori. Naruto throws a lightning-covered chakram at Deidara, who dodges, but said chakram hits the statue Shukaku was going inside of, causing the statue to spit the Biju back inside of the Gaara. Naruto rushes toward Gaara and seals the Biju back into the unconscious redhead. Naruto's group attacks two Akatsuki duo. Deidara and Sasori are caught off guard by the fighting tactics of the Neo Uzu group as they were taken completely off guard by the Ogu's super strength and bombs and the Drajos warriors' fighting tactics and aggression, the Lin Kuei warriors' skill and acrobatic prowess. While the duo was trained for shinobi-based combatants, they were ill-equipped to handle these warriors along with Fu, Hinata and the Konoha group. Deidara, we have to retreat, these aren't warriors we can't handle, said Sasori as Deidara was in a bomb fight with Purely. Deidara had to agree with Sasori as Purely's explosives are more incendiary and concussive than his own. The duo retreat from the battle. Gaara awakens to see Naruto in his guise as Garuda. Greetings Kage. I am Garuda, leader of Neo Uzu, introduced Naruto as he wants to surprise Gaara in a unique way. Gaara is helped to his feet by Garuda, who is surprised by the Uzukage having wings. Thank you for my rescue Garuda-san, it's appreciated, said Gaara as he bows in thanks. Naruto returns the bow. Yeah, I bet I could have done it better, said Sasuke as the rest of the Konoha group groans in irritation at the Uchiha heir. Yes, let's not forget the oh-so-good job with how you handled that Itachi double who had tossed you around so easily, said Naruto in a mocking manner as Sasuke growls at the insult. Yes, how the mightiest Uchiha was knocked on his ass by a double of his kin slayer, how so embarrassing to the supposed great Uchiha clan, said Perly as he proceeds to laugh at the Uchiha shaking with rage. Yes, it would seem he talks and walk like a boy than a man, said Lilandra as she laughs at the Uchiha who rushes to Lilandra who grabs her shirt. You bitch, I am superior, said Sasuke as he is soon hit in the balls by Lilandra's knee. Don't ever touch me little boy or I will make sure you can't love a woman anymore, said Lilandra with a sharp tone of voice. Let him go you Amazon, said Sakura who is backhanded by the Drajos warrior woman. Pathetic fangirl, said Lilandra as she throws Sasuke on top of Sakura as she walks with her group. As they walk off with the Kage and their Uzukage. So tell me Garuda-san, why did you save me? Asked Gaara as he looks at Naruto in question. A friend of yours by the name of Naruto Uzumaki had let us know of his situation. So we had been preparing for them and keeping watch for when they made their moves while building Neo Uzu. Explained and partly lied Naruto, keeping his secret until the right time. Gaara for his part is shocked and surprised at his friend's survival. Can I talk to him? Asked Gaara as he looks at the winged man in question. He will talk to you very soon when everyone is need to be informed about the Akatsuki threat, said Naruto as he looks at Gaara who has a happy expression on his face about his group is met by Tamari, Kankuro, Matsuri, Lady Chio and many of Gaara's close friend group. Well Kage, you have been returned to you nation of Suna. I must return to prepare for a Kage summit, said Garuda as he shakes Gaara's hand. Gaara for his part feels a familiarity with the winged man in question. Goodbye Konoha nins, we will meet again, said Garuda as he and his group steps near the place they had first came. Purely before going is kissed by Anko who whispers into his ear. Perly smiles at the woman in question. See you around snake mistress, said Perly as he winks at Anko. Soon the group is transported back into Uzushio. Wow, that is cool, said Asuma, as Kurenai nods in agreement. The Konoha group leaves to inform Tsunade about the situation. With Naruto and group. The group celebrates the successful rescue mission. Hinata, Fu and Naruto had went to their home to celebrate privately, winking face. Moans and pounding of flesh can be heard throughout the hallways as the trio is having rough sex with each. Thankfully the house was soundproof as Hinata and Fu are having the best times of their lives as they have sex with their blonde lover and each other. After hours the trio collapsed on the bed. Fu and Hinata cuddle around Naruto as they caress his muscled torso as they lay tired from the pounding they received. Always amazing, his immense stamina never ceases to amaze, thought Fu as she falls asleep alongside Naruto and Hinata who are also sleeping in a comfortable bliss. Hokage Tower in Konoha. The Kage retrieval team relays everything about Neo Whirlpool and who leads it. Tsunade for her part had been amazed by how her ancestors' homeland has been rebuilt by a mercenary nin who strangely seems familiar to her for some reason. Your team is dismissed but be on standby for what's to happen, said Tsunade as she thinks about the prospect of Naruto being alive and well inside of Neo Uzushio. Elsewhere in an unnamed village. The zombie duo of Hidan and Kakazu have one Yugito ni of Kumo on the ground knocked unconscious. Well, that was a good fight. She is a superb kunoichi through and through, said Kakazu as he still has claw marks on his cloak while Hidan is reattaching his arm. Enough with the compliments, let's get the biju so I can sacrifice her to Jashin, said Hidan as the duo moved to grab Yugito ni until multiple hyper-flying arrows shred the duo to pieces. Hidan and Kakazu lay injured by the surprise attack. Lin Kuei leap from out of their hidden spots, leaps down to surround the duo while two of their group goes to check on Yugito herself. Secure Yugito ni. The other two are to be eliminated, said the leader as one cuts Hidan's head off. Ow, you sons of bitches that hurt, shouted Hidan, which takes the group off guard by his continued life. It would appear that the Jashinist is immortal in some fashion, let us take his head with us. As he knocks Hidan unconscious. Kakazu however is unlucky as his head is taken from his shoulders by a Dao sword. Okay, let's move out, Lord Garuda will want our report on the mission and Yugito's status, said the leader as they leave towards their village carrying Yugito as Kumo and Bu arrive on the scene to find nothing. Time skip 4 months later in Iron Country. The Cage Summit has being called as cages from the villages of Konoha, Kumo, Iwa, Kiri, Oto and Suna along with the newly risen Neo Whirlpool. Each of the leaders walks inside of the room. Tsunade Senju walks in with Yamanaka Inoichi, grudgingly Sasuke Uchiha and Might Guy. Next a beautiful kunoichi by the name of Mei Terumi walks in with the next generation of the Kiri's swordsman named Chojuro. Next to him is a veteran ninja of Kiri's civil war by the name of Aoi. Next is Gaara and his siblings. Next is the Raikage A with his brother Killer B and his son Darui. Next is the seasoned leader of Iwa Onoki of the Scales with his bodyguards being his granddaughter Kuritsuchi and her partner Akatsuchi. Naruto in his new, improved and stylized Garuda armor as he walks inside with Hinata and Yusuf. Greetings Tsunade Bachan, I am glad to see you once more as well as you Gaara, said Naruto as Tsunade starts to recognize the mannerism. As does Gaara, but from where they think begin to connect the dots to the mysterious Garuda as they take their seats. Let's get this done, I have a kunoichi to find, said the brutish A as Killer B nods in agreement as he takes his hat off and places it on the table. Perhaps we can ask Garuda-san why he has called this summit, said Mei as she looks curiously at the winged warrior in question. She sits down. Yes, especially about that contraption on his back, said Onoki as he looks at the new leader with a stern look as he also sits down. Well, I can answer that I am descendant of a race of humanoid warriors known as the Garuda. But before that I had originally hailed from Konoha under my true name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage and the Red Death. Betrayed by Kakashi Hatake and Sasuke Uchiha, said Naruto as he slowly takes off his helmet to reveal his long hair in a braided ponytail and whisker-less face, shocking everyone except company in the room at his identity being revealed. While the female Mizukage looks at him hungrily. Sasuke, and Onoki looks at the blonde with rage. Naruto, your Garuda, said Tsunade, and the Sand siblings look at him with shock on their faces as Naruto smiles at them. So are we ready to begin the talks about the Akatsuki or not? Said Naruto as he sets his helmet down on the table in front of his seat. You have some nerve showing your face here, bastard seed of the Namikaze. Just give me one reason to declare war on your village, said Onoki as he stares at a stoic Naruto. Because Uzushio's marine raiders will send your naval forces to hell in pieces, said Perli as he looks at the older man with a stoic soldier's gaze. As well as have a brutal counter-strike ready to kill you all in the form of the Drajos shock troops. Heck, I may even join them in the battle, said Naruto as he looks at Onoki with a look of unconcern but predatory gaze that makes Onoki shiver for the few times at Naruto's calmness. That's all big talk for some loser with fake wings, said Sasuke as Naruto stoically asks, did you say something Sasuke? Asked Naruto as he looks at the now fuming Sasuke. So you're the one that has sent those raiders towards some of those loyalist forts that was harassing my forces with Yagura's troops, said Mei as she looks at Naruto with interest at those marines' ability in combat. Yes, Lady Mei, that was me due to remembering Haku Momochi Yuki and Zabuza Momochi who had told me of your struggles in the civil war. I wanted to help their souls find peace and they have, explained Naruto with a smile. That's good and all, but what does this have to do with all of us? Asked Raikage as he looks at Naruto in question. Simply put, it pertains to the Akatsuki collecting the bijus within the Jinchuriki of each village. For something I have yet to comprehend as they don't have all of them, said Naruto as looks at everyone with cryptic eyes. What do you purpose? Asked Mei as she looks at Naruto with interest. I purpose that we suppress the Akatsuki from future actions. But for the tailed beasts that are loose they are to stay released inside of their own domain, said Naruto as Onoki scowls and responds. That would be impossible, the bijus are property as are their Jinchuriki, said Onoki as he gets disgusted looks from Yusuf, Gaara, Tsunade and Naruto himself as he says. Times are changing and it's time to change with them. If I was you old man I would start changing, said Naruto as he stares at him with cold eyes. Yeah, and you should die for what your father did in the war, said Onoki as Naruto stares at him impassively. Then stop calling yourself a shinobi village, said Naruto as Onoki scowls even further as Yusuf injects what it was. War, that's what it was. There was nothing personal in it because ninja are professional soldiers. A soldier is to leave their personal feelings behind and do their duty. Tsunade, if she wanted to, would have declared war on you for the slaughter of her brother and lover, but she say the big picture. What have you done since you've been in office just sulking about being beaten by one man? You could have treated this loss as a learning experience but instead you pout like a baby, said Yusuf as Gaara, Tsunade, and Mei nods in agreement as Onoki steams with anger at the statement. That doesn't excuse this boy's father for doing what he did, said Onoki as Naruto just looks at him with an impassive cold look. So you offload my father's actions on me instead of actually moving on. How pathetic of you to do so. If you can't fight a battle against him you're just being a coward by going after his son who's not even him, said Naruto as he walks over to a nearby wall with his helmet. Excuse me Mifune, I may need to step out so I can return a shinobi to Raikage Dono. But the method of which may be destructive to the building, said Naruto as he bows to the samurai general with respect who nods in agreement. Naruto walks out as his fellow Kages follow him to see him place his helmet back on and say something inside of his helmet as soon a beam of light shoots down from the sky. As it dies down it reveals Yugito-ni who walks forward to the Raikage and bows. Raikage-sama Naruto-sama has a point, the Akatsuki is a problem, said Yugito as she turns and bows and thanks to Naruto for her help and treatment as Naruto bows in return. I will not help the bastard son of the Yondaime to throw away my village's tradition, said Onoki as he looks at Naruto who looks back at him. Tradition. You call treating people who house some of the strongest beings on the planet like crap a tradition. That's no tradition, that's just barbarism that you have come to call tradition. Han and Roshi deserved better in life and in death from what you did to them. What caused you to treat these men like slaves without any regards to their feelings and to their safety is beyond me, said Naruto as Onoki who retorts by saying, you know nothing, IWA was meant to be the strongest by any means. When a shinobi, so by any means tell me would you do what you did to those two to your granddaughter, asked Hinata as she looks at Onoki who stands in silence which confirms his answer. Kuretsuchi for her part looks at her grandfather with disgust at his callousness. You are a tyrant, a leader deserving of hell, said Yusuf as he looks at the man in question as Naruto turns towards the other cage. Will you help me suppress the Akatsuki, asked Naruto as he looks at his fellow cage. I will help you, said Gaara as he looks at his friend with a smile. I will help you, said Tsunade as she smiles at her godson. I will help you, said Mei as she looks at Naruto with determination. I will help you Namikaze, said as he bows and thanks for the rescue of his kunoichi. Well then I declare this summit over, said Mifune as he goes leave towards his home after bowing to the respective cages with respect. Namikaze, just know if you take the two bijus that belong to IWA I will take your whore. Onoki never got to finish as Naruto picks up Onoki by his throat. Finish that sentence and you and your village will be a crater. For you don't threaten Minato Namikaze, you threatened a descendant of warrior race with abilities you can't hope to match, said Naruto as he throws Onoki to the ground. Now go to your corner, said Naruto as he looks at Onoki with glowing eyes. Naruto turns towards Gaara and Tsunade as the female Hokage walks up without his transformation. She soon hugs Naruto as he returns the hug with kindness. I can't believe you are alive, why didn't you return to Konoha? Asked Tsunade as she looks at her godson as if she was his son. It was due to what the person who saved me had told me about self-determination. While I may have missed you, the village wouldn't be so forgetful for how I failed to bring this egotistical douchebag back to Konoha. But let's not forget his sensei had tried to have me killed, said Naruto as Sasuke about to speak is suddenly kicked in the nuts by Naruto. Well, now that I have revealed myself, the Akatsuki is going to be on alert with their members doing everything in their power to try and get my attention, and with Onoki not playing ball IWA is most likely going to help them due to me being the son of their most hated enemy, said Naruto as he looks at his mother figure in question. Hey, nobody said being a leader was easy, said Tsunade as Naruto shrugs in agreement. Well Tsunade bachan, see you around until next time, said Naruto as Tsunade moves to hit him until a beam of light teleports him and his party teleports away the area, but not before leaving a note for Tsunade in code, which reads, beware of the monkey's rival the hawk, for he plans to steal from the whirlpool. The one with red eyes are not to be trusted with around the slug princess as he grows increasingly power hungry. Both are a dangerous along with the growing cesspool in the place of legendary heroes that wear the leaf. Tsunade for her part crumbles the paper knowing what the code means for the leaf. Looks like I need to prepare those in the leaf who isn't stupid or corrupted by the greed and ignorance of the councils, thought Tsunade as she and her group returns to Konoha with the news of the Akatsuki and Naruto's survival. Black Zetsu from a distance away goes to report his findings. In the Akatsuki base, the group are discussing the financials. After Sasori's death, their finances need to be looked at by a professional financier. As they are discussing this, Black Zetsu appears. Toki, can you please leave the room, we have group business to discuss, asked Conan, not wanting to involve their financier in their operations. As he is leaving, Conan seals the room. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze is alive, said Black Zetsu as everyone in the group looks at him with shock. Tell us more, said Pain as Zetsu begins to explain his survival. Chapter 5, The Serpent's Fangs meets the Iron Eagle. Orochimaru is in his lair fuming, the thorn in his side. One Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze was in fact the mercenary Garuda, and thanks to him he has lost 8 bases in his ideal vessel. Not only that, he has an army of warriors from foreign lands whose abilities and powers he desires for himself. Kabuto, what can you tell me of Neo Uzushio's defenses? Commanded Orochimaru as he looks at his second-in-command who is healing him. Well, Neo Uzushio is a fortress. Our infiltrators haven't reported back from the Uzushio, they may have been captured by them, my lord. Reported Kabuto as Orochimaru scowls at being unable to access a gold mine of knowledge and power. Have all of our other bases on high alert for any of these Lin Kuei that have been reported, said Orochimaru as Kabuto nods. Orochimaru knows that he'll need to hunker down, so they will be ready for any attack on his bases. In Neo Uzushio, Naruto is working in his private workshop on a special project that would not only improve his armor but also help him deal with another hidden enemy that the elemental nations haven't seen through time. This is looking good so far. My armor will be stronger. I can't thank you enough, my ancestor and Yutien, for your respective knowledge on alchemy and astral studies. Hopefully it will help me with a great battle that has spanned generations, thought of Naruto as he and a super shadow clone are working on their respective items. Elsewhere in Konoha, Tsunade is in her home with the clan heads of the Inuzuka, Kurama, Hyuga, Aburame, Ikamiki, Nara, Sarutobi and Yamanaka clans along with Jiraiya. After Tsunade returned to Konoha and relay what happened at the summit, the civilian counselors are smiling at how they could demand Naruto to give up secrets of his village or force him into a marriage. However, they were immediately shot down by Tsunade, saying that Naruto is an important figure in the Uzumaki clan that is highly regarded. So Lady Hokage, why have you called us all here? Asked Choza, wondering why he and his friends were summoned to the Senju compound. Well, that's easy. As you all have heard, Naruto was Garuda all along, but what you most likely noticed is the Leaf and Fire country is falling apart through the seams as the rampant corruption is getting too much to bear. Said Tsunade as Jiraiya brings up a projection of sorts. As you can see from the chart, after Naruto's survival was revealed, there has been a spike of unwarranted terrorism in countries that are linked to Naruto through his history with their leaders. Said Jiraiya as he shows clips of terrorists that have been killed by units Neo Uzu helped train. How does this connect to us? Asked Hiyashi as he looks at his former teacher. Well, Hiyashi, glad you asked, because some of these terrorists had backing inside of our government, as some of the weapons caches captured had Fire country made chakra weaponry that came from our own military and the Land of Fire army. These terrorists had also Konoha ninja training that is 3rd shinobi grade. Said Jiraiya as he shows a training camp with many of the advisors being Konoha nins imprisoned for several crimes against a leaf and humanity. Before you ask, I had went to the Fire Daimyo with this evidence. But he told me that he allowed these operations to deter future threats from Neo Uzushio. Said Tsunade, growling at how the Fire Daimyo could consider Neo Uzu a threat to Fire country even though none of these allies had shown any hostilities to Fire country. What do you want us to do? Asked Shikaku as he looks at his Hokage questioningly. Simply put, we get ready to migrate to Neo Uzushio after the Akatsuki threat is dealt with. As we make ready, we need to sort out any bad apples within the clans. We don't want any traitors within Neo Uzu, said Tsunade as each of the clan heads think about the situation, seeing as each of their respective clans, even the highly regarded Hyuga and Sarutobi clans, are being ostracized for being hostile towards the last Uchiha despite his past actions. I'm in, said Sum, wanting to keep her clan away from being used by ignorant bakas. Count us in, said Choza, Inoichi and Shikaku at the same time. Better than being a slave to an Uchiha-loving council, said Asuma as he agreed. I will follow you, said Hiyashi as Shibi nods in agreement. Excellent. When Naruto arrives, we'll make a secret exodus plan with him to move to Neo Uzushio, for it's about time we have a place to stay when the Akatsuki is dealt with. Hopefully we could get out without any trouble, said Tsunade as they all agreed. Elsewhere in Konoha, Danzo, his fellow elders and the civilian council are plotting ways of getting secrets from Neo Uzushio as well as bring to heal their supposed attack dog to be used as a weapon. At the moment they are looking over plans to have a strike force invade Neo Uzushio under the cover of darkness. Lord Danzo, we need to do something about this demon and his nation of followers, said a merchant as he doesn't like how Naruto formed a nation onto himself. Yes, I am well aware of that, but we must be patient as the Akatsuki is our bigger threat. Let's leave everything alone for now until the Akatsuki is dealt with, said Danzo as he wants to see if Neo Uzu could be weakened by the Akatsuki. With Naruto is flying towards Kiri to find any information that could help locate the Akatsuki's base of operations. As he is flying, he soon sees Mei and her group of ninja waiting for his arrival. From above he sees a familiar face among the ninja he thought to be dead. Naruto lands in front of them. He didn't go in his full armor but decided to go in gear reminiscent of his ancestors' dress wear. He wears a sleeved armored shirt with black pants with matching combat boots. His sword, kunai and shuriken pouch, and a pouch full of bolus on his tactical belt. Naruto walks over to see who he thinks he is seeing. Haku. said Naruto as he is shocked by the sight of the kunoichi in front of him. He, you must be thinking of my feminine brother that was with Zabuza. I am Yoko Yuki Haku's twin sister, said Yoko as she looks at the blonde with interest in his wings. Well, this is a surprise, thought Naruto as he then turns to Mei in greeting. Lady Mizukage, I am glad to see you on short notice, said Naruto as he bows in greeting. Please call me Mei. Lady Mizukage makes me sound old, said Mei as she looks at the winged blonde in front of her. The group walks inside of the village. Many of the people are in awe of the blonde walking next to the Mizukage. Many of the women in the village have hearts in their eyes as they look at the blonde with desire. So Naruto, tell me about yourself. About your village, asked Mei as she looks at Naruto with interest. Well, Neo Uzushio is very much like Kiri at the moment, only with many of the people coming from countries outside of the elemental nations, answered Naruto as he looks at Mei as they walk. So tell me a little about the people, asked Mei as she looks at Naruto in question. Well, the Lin Kuei hail from a nation with similar spiritual energy and mercenary practices to ours, only with shorter hand signs. The Lama warriors from a land where some of their spiritual practices are different from all others here. The Ogus would be home in land similar to both water country and snow, formerly spring. But the one group that would be an interesting topic for many males and females here in Kiri is the Drajos people, said Naruto as Mei listens with interest as he continues. You see, the Drajos people hail from a nation called Darkma where the culture had begun to show little regard to their warrior ancestry. The Drajos come from an ancestry that is unique to their people and familiar to many in the elemental nations, as they descend from a fierce warrior line connected to what can be called the Crimson Knights, said Naruto as Mei then asks. Crimson Knights? Asked Aoi as he looks at Naruto in question. Yes, they are similar to the likes of the samurai, 7 swordsmen of Kiri, the Gold and Silver brothers and the Sannin. They are elite warriors, but unlike any of them they descend from dragons. The Drajos tribe in appearance can be compared to warrior women and strongmen of legendary status. They are highly trained as combatants. In the past, when they were in Darkma, they served as shock troops on the front line, with their special weapon being the Paramarian being their most dangerous weapon. Their fighting prowess is second to none, said Naruto as they are all amazed by the brief history of the Drajos people. They walk inside of the briefing room. Naruto had explained to Mei and her group of what the Akatsuki wanted with their tailed beast, while also revealing the puppet master behind Yagura's control in the bloody civil war in Kiri, while also omitting the truth of other masters behind said puppet master. Well, Naruto, it seems that you have given us much needed information about what we need to do and who our true enemy is, said Mei. No thanks is needed, after all it's what Zabuza and Haku would have wanted for their country and loved ones, said Naruto as Yoko wraps her arms around him and kisses him for the kind gesture for her brother. Locking lips with him in a deep passion, they break the lip lock to look at each other. Well, Naruto-kun, I hope you have a beautiful flight, said Yoko as she caresses the blonde face as he takes off into the sky with a smile at meeting the sister of one of his true friends. That's my girl Yoko, you found yourself a man. An extraordinary man at that, thought Mei as she looks at the flying form of Naruto taking off in the air. The next day in Neo Uzushio. Okay, we have gotten everything we want from him, Lord Namikaze, said one Lin Kuei interrogator as Naruto looks at the information he needs for the Akatsuki. From Hidan the Jushinist. Well, that's good because he's going to experience hell on earth, said Naruto as he takes his Hidan's head to Tien for something that will make it so. Naruto flies to a nearby prison with a prisoner that will help with keeping the prisoners happy. The warden had seen such a gift as a blessing. Pav of Hidan the Jushinist. Hidan, while unconscious, is soon awakened with a rude awakening befitting the Jushinist. Welcome to Oz, bitch, you're going to be our prison cock sleeve, said one prison as Hidan soon notices the prison gang in his own physical form, which is that of a supermodel. Hidan thinks to him, oh shit, as the biggest and ugliest man of the gang walks up and says, get ready bitch because you're going to take Big Papa's pipe first, said the prisoner as he drops his pants. As Hidan hears a thud on the ground as his eyes looks in shock at what will be his future. Soon the prison from that day on became a place of ease for the prisoners, while one prisoner screams for the rest of his days as he is used by men day in and day out. With Naruto. Naruto and the clan leaders are in the war room with the leader of Storm, Neo Uzu's Anbu. Commander, are all of Orochimaru's bases located? Asked Naruto as he looks at the Storm commander. The man's armor took influence from his people's armor and gear. Yes, Uzukage, as you can see on the map, the bases are located in countries around the Fire Country and Sea Country. In terrains of jungle, urban, mountain and sea. Each of them are heavily fortified, said commander as he shows several bases on the map to Naruto and the leaders. Okay everyone, this is it for the snake bastard. But I want everyone to be on the best behavior. We are dealing with one of the most dangerous criminals in the history of the elementals. I need not stress this enough. So if you aren't with me, I understand. If so, have your clansmen ready, for we will be cutting the snake's head off his body," said Naruto as each clan member agrees for the operation. "All right, commence Operation Naga's Destruction," said Naruto as the clan heads and Naruto go to get ready for battle. Naruto dons his new armor he has come to call Iron Eagle. Time skip 3 months later. Orochimaru and Kabuto are walking through one of the labs of their base until it's rocked by a massive explosion. Orochimaru and Kabuto go to the war room to assess the situation. "Report what's the situation?" demanded Orochimaru as he scowls at the commander. "Lord Orochimaru, we are under attack by the forces of Neo Uzushio," said a Odo ninja as he shows the security footage of Naruto in a new and improved battle armor attack from above with Neo Uzu's ninja forces. "Here isn't the only place, Lord Orochimaru, as other bases are currently being attacked by Neo Uzu," said another Odo nin as he shows footages of other bases being hit by Neo Uzu's forces. Outside of Orochimaru's base. "Forward," shouted Naruto as he spearheads the surprise assault from the air as he is followed by Hinata and Fu in unique armor. Neo Uzu's shinobi force brutally mows down Odo nins in their path. Naruto takes down several jutsu using ninjas with his ranged weapons and his own jutsu arsenal. Naruto proceeds to launch a thunderbolt at the fortress main door, smashing it. In other bases, Yusuf is leading a battalion of Ogu's marines on a brutal beachhead assault on a laboratory on a remote island. Ying is leading a commando force against a fortification in a mountain region, with Vladimir leading his Drajos shock troops on a fortification of a large city. Each assault as brutal as each other. Naruto's point of view. Naruto lands and cuts through many Odo nins in his path. Many of the Odo nins aim their jutsus Naruto's way, trying to kill him and end the assault. However, Naruto is just getting started as he shouts, "Thunderstorm," as his armor powers up to form an energy field around his body as he continues his assault on the Odo forces. Before Naruto could do any more, he is blindsided by a massive snake courtesy of Orochimaru, who is standing on the top of it along with Kabuto. "Ah, Naruto-kun, I see you have made some improvements," said Orochimaru as he looks at Naruto, who recovers, takes flight. "Ah, still a pedophile, I see, Orochimaru," said Naruto as Orochimaru scowls and commands his snake to attack. A battle commences. Naruto faces off against Orochimaru and Kabuto. Naruto manages to kill the giant snake using a wind spear that impales the snake's brain. A 2-on-1 battle ensures, with Naruto defending against the medical expertise of Kabuto and the kusanagi of Orochimaru. Naruto defends himself with a determined drive and a patient mind as he blocks and evades strikes from the duo. Naruto sees an opening, cuts Kabuto's arm off at the elbow with his flaming sword and decapitates him. Naruto reengages Orochimaru in a fierce battle of swords. Naruto's flaming sword is competing for dominance with Orochimaru's kusanagi. The two break from the grapple as Naruto soon hits him with the palm hold of his sword, knocking out some of his teeth. Orochimaru cast out jutsus, but Naruto retaliate with lightning and wind attacks on Sannin. This lasts for 42 minutes. Naruto decides to use a water ball the battleground. Orochimaru is confused and soon finds out too late the blonde's strategy as he then sends out a current of electricity, shocking the snake Sannin, sending a powerful electric current through his body. Naruto moves and decapitates Orochimaru before he could recall kusanagi. Soon across the elemental nations the Sannin snake seals become inactive and fade away. "Good riddance," said Naruto as he goes to clean up the area and loot the base of the now dead Sannin. Time skip 4 weeks later. Naruto for his part is surprised by what Orochimaru had: super mutant soldiers, regeneration fluids, jutsus and genetics from several extinct clans. But what really surprises him is that he found several clan survivors in the snake's grasp, one of which is a Karen Uzumaki who along with Suigetsu and Jugo is sitting in front of him. Naruto had used his telepathic powers along with Tien's mystics to heal Jugo's psyche and balance out the man's emotions. "Remarkable, so the legend is true, Uzu will be rebuilt in a new form," said Karen as she studies Naruto's wings as she helps Hinata pull out several kunai in his wings. "Yeah, and it's big in more ways than one," said Suigetsu as he looks at the Drajos woman as she walks by. "You are all welcome to stay, but Suigetsu, if you want to collect the 7 swords of Kiri you must earn them, for one of them is used as a grave marker," said Naruto in a challenge me and find out sort of way. Suigetsu nods in understanding as he doesn't want to be electrocuted by the blonde. "Good, now let's all retire for the night, for I have to make a trip to Konoha tomorrow to pin down the Akatsuki," said Naruto as he caresses Hinata's face as he goes to bed. "So Hinata, tell me about Naruto and his life," asked Karen as she is wonder about the life of the chosen one of her clan's prophecy. "Sure, I'll tell you as we walk to our guest room," said Hinata as she and Karen walks down the hallway followed by Jugo and Suigetsu. Time skip the next day. Naruto is flying high in the sky as he is traveling towards Konoha with the head of Orochimaru and his sword. As he lands he is greeted by the Konoha 9, Jiraiya, the clan heads and Tsunade. Greetings Uzukage, welcome to Konoha, said Tsunade as she smiles at her godson who smiles back. Naruto for his part looks at all of them with question as they look at him with looks of hope as they see that he is alive, stronger and more powerful than ever before. It's nice to be here, Lady Hokage, said Naruto as he shows Tsunade the head of Orochimaru and his kusanagi. Present to you the head of Orochimaru and his sword, said Naruto as he hands the head to Neiko and the sword to Anko. So the Gaki did it, he defeated Orochimaru and destroyed Oto. Not bad, said Jiraiya as the clan heads nod in approval of Naruto's ascendance. The group walk inside to discuss important topics until Naruto hears the sounds of, "Demon, go back to your island of foreign devils and die," said a villager as they continue to walk. Naruto is walking towards the Hokage tower. As he does so 6 Anbu surround him. Naruto Uzumaki, by order of the civilian council you are under arrest for desertion, said a Anbu member as one of them moves to restrain him. Until Naruto smiles and pulls out something that makes them stop. This seal makes it illegal for you to arrest me as I am protected by diplomatic immunity by the allied villages agreement signed by Daimyo Tashimaru himself, said Naruto as the Anbu back away from the blonde and let him pass. Soon the elder and civilian councils walk out to see Naruto's seal and looks on in horror and outrage. So what, you belong to Konoha, to this village as property? Said one civilian. Yes, Naruto Uzumaki belonged to Konoha. But I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, therefore you are owed nothing over me, said Naruto as he looks at the counselor with a smug look. Be that as it may, but you need to return the Biju within yourself to us, said Danzo, wanting the Jinchuriki to come back. Well, I hate to break it to you, I don't have the Biju inside me. See, said Naruto as he takes off his shirt to reveal his unmarked chest to everyone as many of the kunoichi blushes at his muscled torso. Danzo for his part frowns at the Biju not being in the container. Now that's out of the way, can we please go inside, we have a bigger threat to deal with. The Akatsuki must be stopped, so I am willing to share information about their capabilities so we may deal with them properly, said Naruto as he and the clan heads push past the civilian and elder councils. Naruto puts his shirt back on as he proceeds to share important information about the Akatsuki in question. Elsewhere in the elementals, Pain and Konan is looking at footage of Naruto's battle against Orochimaru and Kabuto. Incredible, look at his speed, strength and ferocity, he carries himself like a warrior king. He sees no fear in his motions. A dedication to his work, thought Konan as she looks at the blonde's armor and weapons as well as his wings, something not seen in the elemental nations. Pain has similar thoughts on the subject in question. Itachi and Kisame looks at the image with interest in the winged blonde and his fighting prowess. Regardless of your skill and powers you will fall, Garuda or not, thought Madara as he studies the armored blonde in question. Chapter 6, Garuda vs Akatsuki and the Hidden Puppet Master. Naruto is in the Konoha Council chambers talking with the Konoha Council about what he knows of the threat the Akatsuki poses for the world. The Shinobi Council still shocked that Naruto hails from a race of interdimensional humanoid beings that had a hand in much of Uzushio and to the extent Konoha's sealing jutsus. Danzo for his part is intrigued at the prospect of Naruto's knowledge and bloodline. I have given you the information needed for operations against Akatsuki. But I would need help in coordination with Lin Kuei's specialized units to operate in the area, asked Naruto as senses the greed of one man in the one as he calmly looks at Tsunade. Okay, you will have support for the Lin Kuei, but I would need some insight to their unit numbers and groups, asked Tsunade as she senses Naruto's hesitance in revealing so much about his village's fighting forces, so she had to at least gain an idea for. You will have them, answered Naruto as he looks at Tsunade with a smile and a subtle wink as Tsunade smiles. Is there anything else, might I ask? Asked Naruto as he looks at everyone else. Yes, we demand that you give back the Kyuubi, answered Homura as he looks at the winged blonde in question. I am afraid that is a demand I cannot fulfill, said Naruto as Homura scowls at him. How come, Uzumaki-san? Asked Homura with a somewhat of irate tone. For Kyuubi or now Kurama is actually beyond that of a Biju, answered Naruto in a cryptic tone of voice as everyone looks at him with a confused look as he continues. You see, Kurama as he is like to be called after being extracted from me through the means of the Lama warrior mystics had gained a body that can not only contain the Kyuubi's chakra but reform it into something that transcends what a Biju is due to the nature of the clay used by the mystics. I have no power over him as he has become Neo Uzushio's guardian for Mokuden, and the Sharingan have no effect as him as he no longer has the animalistic rage that would allow both to control and subdue him as such. Not even my telepathic powers can work on him due to the mental power the Kyuubi now possess, explained Naruto as Danzo is seething on the inside as are the elders for losing such a powerful force. Well, at least give us a jutsu of sorts from one of your barbaric clans, said a civilian council member as Naruto looks at him and makes him shit himself. I can't for 2 reasons. Reason 1 revolves around that the peoples of the Ogus, Linquay, Drajos, and Lama warriors are not able to use chakra for they have special abilities to combat chakra using foes. Reason 2 their knowledge and skills if given to say Sasuke or Kakashi wouldn't help them for they wouldn't be in a position to use them. As all of their respective skills isn't used to them or most Easterners in battles. Drajos people's Leo Pamakan Fist and Draco Pale are fighting forms used by people with builds similar to that of Jiraiya, Tsunade and pretty much the Akamichi clan. The Ogus are more so similar to the Drajos people in regard to skills only their focus is in naval infantry combat. The Lin Kuei's techniques uses an energy source only accessible to me due to my heritage and people like Rock Lee who have undeveloped chakra coils called Kai. Last but not least the Lama warriors you can't get because they have more or less a connection with a foreign deity named Mahakala a fierce guardian protector, answered Naruto as Sasuke becomes irate at the last one. Big deal that foreign god is nothing before the Uchiha. His power will bow before me, said Sasuke as Naruto chuckles and full-blown laughs at his ex-teammate's ignorance. You foolish Tem. Mahakala is symbolized in that religion as the ultimate destructive power of the universe. If you tried to steal from his followers, you would be on the ground screaming in agony for the deity's power is what separated me from the most powerful tailed beast in existence without killing me, a feat you would need the Shinigami's own power to do so. What makes you think you can demand the magic of a god that can match the Shinigami's power? Plus, you would most likely be rejected by the deity and no matter what your Sharingan can do it would pale in comparison to their mystics. Said Naruto as Sasuke was about to retort but feels a strange shiver in his back that shuts him up. What can you offer us in return then, said Homura as Naruto smirks. I cannot offer you anything of substantial use, said Naruto as Homura is seething with him and his fellow elders and civilian power brokers looking at him with hate. Okay Naruto we will meet on operations tomorrow for it is getting late and it would seem that I would need to discipline some people on who is in charge, said Tsunade leaking out killing intent that makes the elders and civilian council look with fear even Danzo is shaking despite his stoic facade. Do you have a place for me stay? Asked Naruto as he looks at his godmother. Sure, Naruto you can be my guest in my estate, said Tsunade as she looks at the winged blonde with a smile. Naruto walks out of the room. Now you lot have forgotten your places in this room. It might be time allow you to remember it, said Tsunade as she looks at the elders and civilian council as she leaks at killing intent that makes them nervous. With Naruto. Naruto is walking through the village looking at the sights with wonder. He walks towards the Ichiraku stand in question as he sees Kiba harassing Ayame walking back to the stand. Kiba cut it out, shouted Ayame as Kiba is getting more aggressive with Ayame as Kiba having enough is about to slap her but his hand is caught by a strong arm courtesy of Naruto. Naruto is that you? Asked Ayame as she looks at the little brother she thought was dead. In front of her she sees a primal angel looking at her. In the flesh Ayame ne-chan. Now Kiba it would be that you go home before you get hurt, said Naruto as he emphasized it by crushing his wrist. Kiba begrudged left with his tail between his legs. So Naruto you came to visit us from your new home? Asked Ayame as she looks at her little brother figure. Yeah I need to take care of the Akatsuki I was asking for Tsunade Ba-chan's help in suppressing and then eliminating them. I came to talk about Neo Uzushio if you two are interested in moving there over a bowl of ramen, answered Naruto as he walks inside of the ramen stand. Inside of the Akatsuki base. Pain and Konan are conversing on something that will decide the fate of the organization they both have built but has fallen apart. They aren't the only ones to be speaking as Itachi is with them also. So we are in agreement on what we are going to do, said Pain as Konan and Itachi nods in agreement. Yes for this plan to work though we would need to fake our deaths in battle against Naruto hopefully we can do that but what about you Nagato your paths of pain are going to be hard to hide, said Itachi as he looks at the real Pain in question. Don't worry me and Konan had something for just such of occasion that we had for the paths of pain that would make it look like they were destroyed as well as me and Konan dying in battle. Said Nagato as he wanted to do what was right and help his cousin rebuild Neo Uzushio. Okay let us execute the plan. Naruto is in Konoha at the moment and is talking with them about the Akatsuki. We can meet with him and engage him in a fixed battle. From what I remember from the legends he possessed telepathic and empathic abilities allowing us to speak with him without Madara or Zetsu's intrusion and know our intentions through our emotions. Said Nagato as Konan and Itachi nods. They go their separate ways to get their items. Back in Konoha. Naruto is sitting with Tsunade and the clan heads. They had explained the situation in Konoha with the councils gaining too much power using the daimyo to extort money from clan fawns. They had also told Naruto of their attempts to have them give their daughters to rebuild Sasuke's clan. I see. Well, I believe it would be time for a secret exodus out of Konoha leaving unnoticed, but we need to deal with threats in the nations and outside of them, said Naruto in a cryptic tone as the clan's heads look at him with confusion. What do you mean? Asked Jiraiya as she looks at his godson in question. Well, it pertains to the child of prophecy the animal summons have, said Naruto as he looks at Jiraiya in question. You mean that it is real? Asked Tsunade as she looks at Naruto in question. Yes, but that's not all, for you see, the Sage of Six Paths Mother, the self-proclaimed rabbit goddess, has been using the one known as Black Zetsu to manipulate events to suit her needs, like the bloodline purge and civil war in Kiri. She is the secret puppet mistress of the Akatsuki. All of this has been caused by her. All except the war between Indra and Asura, the ancestors of the Uchiha and Senju clan respectively. It was caused by Indra, who was power-hungry, arrogant and selfish beyond measure. His clan had spread the curse of hate throughout the centuries, with possibly 3 exceptions in 3 people who would surprise you: Makoto, Shisui and Itachi Uchiha. Said Naruto as everyone is shocked by the blonde's revelations. How can you be so sure? Asked Tsume as Inoichi steps in. Because he doesn't show the same patterns Naruto just listed. I have met with Fugaku many times during the annual psych evaluation, and he has shown the very same self-absorbed and egotistical mindset of his clan heads. Itachi, however, hasn't shown any of these signs, as he appeared to be more collected and more analytical compared to all of them. Shisui was also showing signs of this as well, but he died before his next psyche evaluation. Explained Inoichi as Naruto nods. So how are you going to deal with this, Kagaya? Asked Inoichi as he looks at Naruto in question. Well, after dealing with Madara, I will take care of Kagaya with a device. I need your help with Inoichi-san, said Naruto as Inoichi and everyone else looks at him with a quizzical look. What do you want my help for? Asked Inoichi as Naruto gets out a schematic for a machine of sorts to show everyone. This machine is called the Telesthesia Dome. It will allow me to battle Kagaya in the one realm where I would face her in and contain my elemental abilities, said Naruto as Inoichi looks at him with wide eyes and says. You discovered it, didn't you? Discovered what, Inoichi? Asked Tsume as she and Tsunade looks at him with concern. Naruto has discovered the true astral realm, answered Inoichi as everyone looks confused as he then explains. Okay, as you know, the universe is a big place with various dimensions. The astral realm is one such place, as it is where beings with telepathic powers are immensely powerful, as it is where telepaths like some of my ancestors could draw upon its cosmic power from. Naruto, for you to draw power from that realm means everything to the Yamanaka clan. Said a jitty Inoichi as Naruto chuckles at Inoichi's praise. Have to do with anything? Asked Tsunade as she heard of the legends pertaining to such a realm, as Naruto draws out a bladeless prong handle as he focuses his astral energy into it. It means I can infuse my weapons with astral energy, making them stronger and even enhance my physical attributes, said Naruto as he then flicks Jiraiya and sends him flying, surprising them with his even greater strength. Wow, that's awesome, said Tsume as she looks at the winged blonde in question. Elsewhere in the elemental nations, Black Zetsu had sent his Zetsu forces to collect the Three-Tails Turtle Isobu, but before they get to the position they are ambushed by Kiri Ninja and Ogu's marines, attacking them with unreal ferocity and training. As the Zetsu are slaughtered, the Llama Warriors transports the three-tailed turtle to a domain similar to Kiri. Isobu is happy with the kind Llama Warriors as it goes through the portal willingly, landing in a realm of vast amphibious land and water for him to swim to his heart's content. Elsewhere in the elementals, Iwa and Zetsu forces battle each other to secure Son Goku and Kokuo, however they are both blindsided by Llama Warriors who sent them to domains of their particular nature through portals that the Zetsus can't follow through as the Llama Warriors closes them. Damn, the Tsuchikage is not going to be pleased, said an Iwa Jonin as he and his remaining forces retreat, as does the Zetsus to report to their true leader. Back with Naruto. Naruto had given the means for a secret exodus from Konoha to Neo Uzushio to the clan heads. Right now he is at Mount Myoboku with Jiraiya walking with him. Naruto, what happened to you and where did those wings come from? Asked a curious Gamakichi as he looks at the winged blonde in front of him. Well, Gamakichi, I was reborn, said Naruto as Gamatatsu looks at his wings with interest. Naruto walks with Jiraiya towards the Elder Toad Sage chambers. Walking inside, Naruto is greeted by Gamabunta and his lieutenants, a elder couple and a similarly giant elderly toad. Greetings Ma, Pa, Gamabunta, Gamahiro, Gamamaru and Gamaken. I would like to welcome back Naruto Uzumaki, new and improved, said Jiraiya as he gestures to Naruto, which gets their attention. Kid, what the hell happened to you? Asked Gamabunta as Naruto flies up to his face. I gained something else, said Naruto as he turns to the great elder toad Gamamaru as he looks at Naruto with wonder. So the child of prophecy gained the powers of the one who came from another realm. I must say it took you long enough, said Gamamaru as everyone was shocked at the elder in question. You knew of my transformation and ancestry, said Naruto as he looks at the elder sage. Yes, I had met your ancestor when one of his seals had caused him to be teleported here to Mount Myoboku. He was an incredible individual, not only a master of seals but arguably the greatest fuinjutsu master the elementals would ever know, answered Gamamaru as he looks at Naruto with a smile. So what have you come here for? Asked Gamamaru as he looks at Naruto with a questioning gaze. I came to ask about Kagaya Otsutsuki, said Naruto as everyone looks at him with shock. So Toshinari's spirit had told you about Kagaya. Will let me help you fill in the of what you don't know. 1,000 years back before Hagoromo became a sage, his mother Kagaya had ruled the world with a tyrannical iron fist. She had what can be described as the hybrid of the Rinnegan and the Sharingan that allowed her to control the god tree to absorb people and turn them into chakra fruit. The woman was cruel and ruthless after she had consumed the fruit, but before she consumed the fruit, she was a beautiful and kind concubine to a lord of the land of ancestors. She was chased out because of her connection to the god tree. She became cruel due to the power chakra had given her, said Gamamaru as Naruto thinks on it as he makes a decision on what to do next with Kagaya. Gamamaru, is it possible to free Kagaya without having the 10 tails? Said Naruto as everyone looks at Naruto as if he is crazy. Are you insane? You know what she did, why are you trying to free her? Said Fukashiku as he looks at him with an irate look. I believe I can help answer that, said a voice as everyone turns to see a figure in robes with black commas and a staff. His appearance looks similar to Kagaya, only more of tanner white in skin and elderly in appearance. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, you're alive, but what are you doing here, old friend? Asked Gamamaru as everyone was surprised by the sage's appearance. That is because I wanted to thank the child of prophecy for freeing my children from their prisons and giving them freedom, and help him with the goal that will shape the future of this world, explained Hagoromo as Naruto feels honored by the legendary sage. Thank you, Sage Gigi, it's an honor for you to help me, said Naruto as Hagoromo chuckles at the winged blonde's mannerism, reminding him of his son Ashura. Well, to help him explain, my mother wasn't evil in the slightest. In fact, she was blinded by the power she possessed after gaining chakra from the god tree. She became paranoid of her people. To find her, she wanted to protect the world by gaining more power to defend it from them. Then came the harvesting of human beings in the fruit. She wanted to gain more power, but she had consumed the negative chakra of some of the fruits, interjected Naruto as everyone except Hagoromo follows him as he continues to explain. Chakra has two aspects, positive and negative. We all have this in us, but if a person has more than positive, they are more prone for evil and carnage in the lives of people with a balanced amount of both positive and negative chakra, as well as those who have an imbalance of positive chakra being more than the other, said Naruto as everyone starts understands his explanation. Sage Gigi, you made me the child of prophecy because I have not only a balance, but I am able to master both aspects, said Naruto as the legendary sage nods and smirks at the blonde's intelligence and deduction. Right, you are Naruto, you are able to use both positive and negative chakra in ways that makes you unpredictable, that makes you dangerous to the forces of evil. I have high hopes you can destroy the dark that has cursed my mother and killed many others, said Hagoromo as he soon ascends back into heaven as they all become motivated, none more than Naruto. So Naruto boy, what are you waiting for? Go out there and kick some ass, said Shima as he and Jiraiya go back to Konoha with renewed vigor and courage. In IWA, Onoki was pissed Naruto had blindsided him with the llama warriors who had sent his tailed beasts into domains through unknown means of portals. Damn, that Namikaze has ruined everything, thought Onoki as he doesn't have any means of getting them back. As he growls, all he can think of is the winged Namikaze. In the Akatsuki base, Madara is pissed as he lost the 3 tails turtle, 4 tails monkey and 5 tails dolphin horse to the Namikaze and his forces, and he had no real way to get them back, as while he could use the Rinnegan's powers, he really doesn't know whether he could find them, as the Zetsu reported back that the monks had a power that nullifies chakra significantly. I will get you for this, Namikaze. If it's the last thing I will do, thought Madara as he looks in the distance with hate for the Namikaze and his nation's warriors. With each Biju, the 3 to 5 tails Bijus are slowly evolving to new heights and have become beings of their respective element. This event is being watched by both Tien and Kurama. Interesting, so the dimensions they were sent to had caused an evolution to happen that has reshaped their respective natures, said Kurama as he never thought that a Biju could evolve. Back with Naruto. Naruto got the information he needed and then gave what he needed to give for the village's decent souls to move away from a cesspool that is decaying every day. Naruto is traveling towards Kumo when he is suddenly flagged by Pain and Itachi as he then lands to face them when he sensed their thoughts as he battles and easily kills Kisame with a decapitating strike. "Naruto, do you hear us?" said Itachi telepathically as Naruto responds with a yes. "Good, because me, Nagato Uzumaki and Konan are defecting to Neo Uzushio and we need your help," said Itachi as Naruto looks at him quizzically as he asks. "Why?" asked Naruto as he looks at the three in question. "We lost our way. Me and Nagato-kun had found out that Madara and Zetsu had tricked us into helping his plans for world conquest," said Konan telepathically as Naruto senses their intentions to see that they are true. "So what do you want me to do?" asked Naruto telepathically as he is curious of the trio's plan to defect. "You have to kill us," said Nagato telepathically as he explains the plan in question to the winged blonde. When Black Zetsu arrived on the scene, the trio was battling Naruto to a standstill and start to overwhelm him. Naruto manages to rally himself to fight back with more ferocity than before. Soon the first to fall is Itachi, who is seemingly cut across his chest, killing him. Naruto destroys all 6 paths of pain and throws a lightning bolt in the direction of the true path of pain, seemingly killing him. Naruto killed Konan by slicing her in half. Naruto turns towards Black Zetsu as the plant man retreats as he sees no reason to stay. Naruto takes the bodies of the valiant Akatsuki members to be placed in burials in sea, or what it seems to be, as he then teleports to Neo Uzushio with a sealed Samaheda and their slain forms. "Kurama, I need you right now, this is an emergency. We have some important new arrivals that I need you to take care of and look after while I am in Kumo," said Naruto telepathically to his former prisoner turned friend. "Of course, Gaki, I'll do that. Just head to Kumo so you can finish the fight," said Kurama telepathically back to Naruto as the blonde takes flight back toward Kumo as Konan, Nagato, and Itachi awake to see Kurama in humanoid form, in samurai-like armor as he looks at the duo. "Greetings Itachi Uchiha, we meet at last," said Kurama as Itachi and Nagato senses the humanoid Biju's chakra and are amazed. "You're the Kyuubi no Kitsune, but how are you in human form?" asked a curious Nagato as Kurama smiled at the red-haired Uzumaki in question. "That is all thanks to that blonde Gaki," said Kurama as he shows them to their rooms after treating both Nagato and Itachi of their diseases. With Naruto. Naruto is traveling towards Kumo, and he lands in front of the gate as he is met by Yugito, who is amazed at the blonde's angel-like wings. "Greetings Lord Uzukage, welcome to Kumo," said Yugito as she looks at the blonde Uzumaki with interest. "Nice to see you, Mrs. Ni, but please call me Naruto," said Naruto as he smiles. The two walk inside of the gates towards the Raikage Tower. Naruto gets looks from several kunoichis who looks at Naruto with hearts in their eyes as he walks. "So Naruto, are those wings real?" asked Yugito as she looked at him with a question. "Yes they are. I did say I'm descended from an interdimensional warrior with extraordinary abilities," said Naruto as Yugito blushes at forgetting this tidbit of information he had told everyone. On their way to Raikage Tower, 3 ninjas soon lands near them. One is a girl with red hair and dark skin with hazel eyes in a standard Kumo ninja uniform, another is a girl with blonde hair in a bob haircut with curves of a supermodel that is well endowed, wearing a kimono-style blouse under a modified Kumo flak jacket that accentuates her bust. Lastly is a male with dark skin, bright blonde hair and dark eyes. He appears to be sucking on a lollipop. "Hi Yugito, how are you and who is he?" asked the red-haired girl in question, who looks at Naruto with interest and curiosity at his appearance as she looks at his wings. "Karui, Samui, Omoi, this is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze from Neo Whirlpool. Naruto, these are my friends," introduced Yugito as they all look in surprise at Naruto in question as he nods and says, "Greetings to you all. I am glad to meet friends of Yugito. I would like to also thank you for saving my life from the zombie brothers. By the way, what happened to Hidan? I heard he wasn't killed," asked Yugito as Naruto smirks at the question. Inside of the cell of Hidan, the former Jushinist turned prison bitch. Sounds of grunts, pounding of flesh and the creaking of a bed can be heard as Hidan is being pounded into the bed by a male prisoner who had been sentenced to death row, with his last request being to hump the cock sleeve one last time. A request the guards gladly full-fed. "Yeah bitch, take this steel rod and like it. It's what you have been made for bitch," said the man as he pumps in and out of Hidan as the former Jushinist feels like a whore in the situation as he grips the sheets with his now feminine hands as the man is pumping inside of him. "Now for the main course," said the man as he moves from the vagina of Hidan's new body to a hole Hidan really hates to experience sex from. As the man inserted himself into Hidan, whose screams are muffled as the man pushes his face into the pillow. Hell would seem like heaven to Hidan at the moment as he is being humped in a very uncomfortable place, winking face. Back with Naruto. Naruto is talking with the Raikage over information involving the Akatsuki. A's assistant Mabui is intrigued by the blonde's appearance and ancestry. So your information on this group is new. I'm surprised you defeated Pain and Itachi Uchiha. I also heard that the 3 to 5-tailed beasts teleported elsewhere. Was that your doing? Asked as he looks at Naruto in question. Yes, it was thanks to the Llama Warriors, a group of holy mystics from a land far from the elementals, answered Naruto as Darui is intrigued. So what jutsu did they use to do such a feat? Asked Darui as he looks at Naruto in question. Well, that's just it, they didn't use any jutsus, only the mystics of their deity that allowed such a feat of transporting a biju to another dimension altogether. Said Naruto. Tell us about these Llama Warriors you speak of, asked Mabui as she is intrigued by the group in question. Well, they are warrior nomads from the highland country of Nidang, a country that was stacked with many strife that contained various deities, warrior monk sects, bandits and demons. The Llama were among the stronger of the warrior sects. But when the warlord of the land decreed that all sects were to worship him as a god emperor, they refused, and a brutal battle led to the Llama warriors to flee from the nation. When I found them, they seemed to be peaceful people. When they say me, I was very well welcomed among their people as I was seen as a guardian spirit of sorts. Explained Naruto as everyone is intrigued by the group in question. What kind of combat skills for them to be known as warriors if they are so peaceful? Asked Karui as Naruto smiles. The next 10 minutes has Naruto facing Killer Bee using the sword skills he learned from them, surprising everyone with how agile the blonde is as Killer Bee is using his 8 swords technique against the blonde using a unique looking broadsword Naruto calls a dao. Naruto manages to parry and block several strikes from the 8 tails Jinchuriki with masterful ease and using a form that is fluid and fast pace. Soon Bee is unable to do anything as Naruto slowly disarms Killer Bee blade locks until he is down to 1 ninjutsu sword. While the main man with wings is one bad cat with that sword, Brother A, raps Killer Bee as he smiles at the winged blonde in question. Yes, and I must say he looked remarkable in his movement, said Mabui as Naruto smiles at her compliment. Well, that was fun, but what else can you show me that the Llama warriors can do? Asked Raikage as he looks at the blonde in question as Naruto reinforces a neatly stacked row of bricks as Naruto says to them. As you can see, I have reinforced the bricks to have chakra nullifying seals that can nullify chakra of even a tailed beast. Yugito, Killer Bee, could you each try to please break them? Asked Naruto as Yugito uses her full strength to try to break a brick, and she herself is surprised when she is unable to even when she calls upon her biju's power. Killer Bee then steps up and tries to break to have the same result. Naruto steps forwards and focuses his inner energy into his body. Soon Naruto with enough strength behind his technique breaks the bricks in half with his bare hands, surprising them all including the bijus watching from within and their hosts. Incredible, how were you able to do that? Asked as he looks at the winged blonde in question. That is what the Llama warriors called Raylung, an energy that is similar to chakra but that in a way is like the winds. I had discovered that my Raylung is able to do things I never thought I can do, said Naruto as everyone looks at him with awe. Well, I would like to test your speed in a speed contest, asked as he triggers his lightning armor as Naruto triggers his own equivalent of lightning armor. Wow, said Mabui as she looks at Naruto with interest as Naruto smiles at her. This is my great wind armor, it's like your lightning armor Adono in many ways. Said Naruto as he and A proceed to have a contest of speed that lasts for 30 minutes. Soon a crash happens and it reveals to be A on the ground as Naruto hovers down to help him up, surprising everyone of this new state of being. Incredible, you're just as fast as your father in that state, said as Naruto smirks and says. Nah, it's all about direction with his speed and not enough about movement. As the two have a camaraderie of sorts as A smiles. Well, Adono, that was fun, but I gotta get out of here, I have one more stop, said Naruto as he flies toward Suna. Cool, said Samui as she and her friends nods in agreement. In Neo Uzushio, Hinata and Fu are coordinating with the Lin Kuei on the spy network as they track the remain Akatsuki. Hinata for her part is looking for something, or rather someone, that would help deal with the last hidden enemy faction as soon as a member of the Lin Kuei lands in front of Hinata. Lady Hinata, we have found him, said the Lin Kuei spy as she smirks at the information. Good, let's go according to plan, said Hinata as the Lin Kuei member nods and disappears. Back with Naruto. Naruto had made it to Suna. Every one of the Suna nins are in awe at the appearance of the blonde as he appears to be a wrathful angel of sorts. Gaara was thrilled in his own way to see the blonde after they relayed information about the remain Akatsuki. Naruto and the Sand siblings decided to have dinner on at the tower. So, Naruto, what abilities do you have exactly? Asked Tamari as she is curious of her fellow blonde in question. Well, aside from flight I can do this. Naruto throws a bolt of lightning towards the sky as well as command the winds to blow various clouds in place as he then throws a sphere of ice into the air. Wow, so you can channel lightning chakra, said Kankuro as Naruto shakes his head in a no manner. No, what I can do is related to an energy called mantra. It's similar to chakra but has less strain on my body than chakra use, said Naruto as he demonstrates his ability to focus the wind into a large ball-sized sphere. Incredible, you have truly ascended, my friend, said Gaara as he looks at his friend in question with a smile. Thanks, Gaara, that really means a lot from you, said Naruto as he smiles back at Gaara. So Naruto, what's your plan after all of the Akatsuki is destroyed? Asked Temari in question as she looks at the blonde Uzukage in question. I am going to make sure Neo Uzushio isn't destroyed again and to punish the party responsible for its destruction in the first place, said Naruto as they all nod in agreement. Before I leave I need to hand you this, said Naruto as he takes out an orb that is glowing a strange color inside of it. What is it? Asked Gaara as he looks at Naruto in question. It's something in case you find that Suna doesn't need the Sukakao and something to give him for when he doesn't want to be in this dimension, said Naruto as he goes towards the hotel so he can rest for his next big flight back towards Neo Uzushio. 4 days later. Word has reached the elementals of Naruto's victory over Pain and Itachi Uchiha. Many are in shock over the death of the leader of the Akatsuki. However, one Sasuke Uchiha is seething in anger as Sasuke is denied the vengeance he deserves. Damn you dope, shouted the Uchiha as he is now the last Uchiha living, or what seems like the last Uchiha. Inside of Neo Uzushio, Itachi and Nagato are in incubation chambers. Kurama had explained that Itachi and Nagato had illnesses he couldn't remove, so he went to the Lama warriors and Drajos people for aid. They both had come up with a method that would not only cure them but make them even stronger, called the Great Wind's Rebirth Chamber. At the moment the both of them are undergoing a metamorphosis that is improving the physicality and anabolic levels to higher standings. Itachi and Nagato for the first times in their lives feel powerful. Soon the two exit the chambers. They appear like gods among men as they step out. So how are you two doing? Asked Naruto as he smiles at them. Better, much better, said Itachi as Nagato nods in agreement as Konan rushes up to him and locks lips with him. Breaking the kiss, Konan says. Better, now come on, I've been saving myself for you, said Konan as she and Nagato rushes back toward their room as Naruto and the others chuckle at the action. Soon a Lin Kuei messenger runs into the room. Lord Uzukage, another cage submit has been called in Iron Country, reported the messenger. I'm betting the Tsuchikage is throwing a fit about losing his supposed property, said Kurama as he is smirking at the old man throwing a fit. Well, I better get dressed for the long trip, said Naruto as he goes to see about his new cage gear. 2 weeks later. The cages each arrive, with Naruto arriving last in ceremonial battle gear that's reminiscent of a warrior saint. He is joined by Tien and Vladimir this time around. Mei for her part looks at Vladimir with interest in the man's form and armor as he stares and winks at the Mizukage, who smiles at the man's boldness. All of them are seated as they take off their hats, or in Naruto's case helmet. So why has this submit been called this time? Asked Naruto as he looks at Onoki, who growls at him. This is because you had taken the bijus away from this world to somewhere else, said Onoki as he looks at Naruto with an irate tone as everyone looks at him with questions. What does he mean, Naruto? Asked Tsunade as she is curious of the blonde in question. Well, I had my Lama warrior force remove the biju from this realm to another realm that is complementary to the terrain they favor, said Naruto as everyone looks at him with shock in their eyes as Onoki screams out. Or to boost your arsenal and force, Tien leaps down to help explain to them. Everyone, I would like to introduce Master Tien of the Lama warriors, he can explain things better, said Naruto as Tien bows to everyone in greeting. Greetings to you all. To help Uzukage explain, the biju are in domains only accessible to people who are pure of heart, that has the elemental affinity towards each biju. But it would seem that the bijus have ascended to the status of elementals beings, said Tien as Onoki growls. I don't care, I want my biju back, said Onoki as he looks at Naruto and Tien as the monk then says. Wow, what a baby you are for an old man. But to tell we can't, we have no power over them, for they are elemental beings that are beyond the powers of their biju states. Even with the dojutsu such as the Rinnegan and Sharingan, they wouldn't be able to bow to you or anyone, said Tien as Onoki looks more furious as before he can say anything a voice speaks up. Is that a fact? As Madara Uchiha in his orange mask appears above them. So the puppet master finally shows his face, said Naruto as he looks at him as Madara stare back at him. Yes, Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, as I am here to demand for the 1, 8 and 9 tails, said Madara as Naruto then chuckles and then fully laughs at the Uchiha as Madara scowls at him. What's so funny? Demanded Madara as he looks at Naruto in question. Well, Madara-tem, I don't have the Kyuubi. He's free and beyond your control, said Naruto as Madara scowls and says, You're lying. Oh, am I? said Naruto as he takes off his shirt exposing his well-muscled torso as many of the kunoichi plus one Yoko blushes at Naruto's physique as he shows no seal indicating he is no longer a Biju. Madara is boiling with rage at the prospect of losing the one Biju needed for his plan. No matter, I have the Kyuubi's chakra needed for the 10 tails. All I need is the 1 and 8 tails. Madara looks over at both Gaara and Killer Bee and tries to teleport them away. What's wrong? Madara can't do your disappearing trick on them. Well, let me tell you, it doesn't work. I had placed a seal on Gaara and Killer Bee before entering this building. You can't Kamui them elsewhere for your plan. Face it, you're finished, said Naruto as Madara looks at him with rage at being thwarted. Mark my words, Uzumaki, I will. Madara never got to finish as he had to Kamui away to dodge a bolt of lightning from Naruto. For a legend he talks too much, said Naruto as Onoki looks at him and says. I demand my property back, Namikaze, or I will declare war on you, said Onoki as Naruto looks at him with a looks that says bring it, bitch. Try me, old man, you won't get fair, said Naruto as he puts his helmet back on. Nice to see everyone on a short notice, said Naruto as he leaves, as does everyone in the room. Leaving a fuming Onoki staring at the walking form of Naruto. Naruto on his way out spots a familiar kunoichi. Greetings Shizuka, how are you? Asked Naruto as Shizuka looks at Naruto and smiles. Very good, honey, said Shizuka as she leaps at him and locks lip with him. While the kid gets around, said Vladimir as Tien nods. So what are you doing in Iron Country? Asked Naruto with a questioning look. Well, I was wondering if I could get an alliance with Neo Uzu to help my village improve, asked Shizuka as she looks at Naruto, who nods in agreement. Sure, by the way, why did you kiss me? Asked Naruto as Shizuka smirks and says. Well, since you beat me in combat, I chose you as my husband. While I hated my village elders, they did bring me someone who cares about me as a person, so I was think if you would accept me, asked Shizuka as Naruto smiles and as he picks her up and lifts her and says. Of course, but you do know I have multiple wives, right? Said Naruto as Shizuka smirks and says. I go both ways, as Vladimir looks at him and smirks thinking, lucky bastard, as they go towards a tavern for a drink. In the Akatsuki base. Deidara is getting ready with Black Zetsu and their armada to invade and destroy Neo Uzushio. The Zetsu get ready, look over the battle plan and have naval ships ready for combat. Remember to kill everyone and capture the Biju, said Black Zetsu as the other Zetsu nods as they go over the battle plan. So Madara, what are we to do exactly when the Uzumaki gets into the battle? Asked Deidara as he and Deidara looks at his leader. Simply to make an example of him, said Madara as he gets ready for combat. With Naruto. Naruto is in the war room with his commanders as they overlook the information on the captured white Zetsu that the scientists were able to dissect and examine. They found that they are capable of going underground or mutated plant humans. Vladimir and Yusuf have a way to counter this with a particular landmine planted near the shoreline as Naruto works out a battle strategy. Soon though, a Lin Kuei scout rushes into the room. Lord Uzukage, we have a situation, said the scout as he shows white Zetsu's forces moving towards Neo Uzushio with breakneck speed. How long do we have? Asked Naruto as the scout says. 18 hours, sir, answered the scout. Alright everyone, battle stations have all non-combatants and civilians move to the bunkers and shelters and get every shinobi and warrior on full alert, said Naruto as everyone does as they're told. Vladimir, Yusuf, have your best 5 sapper units set up these mines. Tien, I need the llama warriors to go with them to be sure the Zetsu aren't able to sense any of these mines. Lady Ying, have all commando units in ambush positions. If they want war, let it be on our terms, said Naruto as they all nodded as Naruto, Hinata and Fu goes towards their armory to get prepared. Everyone went to perform their duties so the white Zetsu would experience true hell when they arrived. Time skip the invasion of Neo Uzushio. Forces from Berserk theme. The white Zetsu at first was strolling causally towards Neo Uzushio after discovering the island has a nexus that cancels out their maneuverability through the ground. Before long, a Zetsu tired of waiting, finally manages to go underground but soon finds hell. Landmin, several battalions of Zetsu are soon killed by landmines underneath them. They move forward as they soon experience a Lin Kuei ambush that cuts their number down 2 pieces. Before long, the lessened number of Zetsu reaches the outer walls of Neo Uzushio. Before they do, any more cannon fire can be heard as cannonballs slaughter many of the 250 of the already dwindled 600 Zetsu as soon the Drajo's shock troops and llama warriors attack. In a savage melee the Zetsus weren't prepared for as they are losing more than they could kill from the enemy side. Soon Hinata and Fu join the battlefield as Deidara and Sasori join as well to meet them. On a hill, Madara is overlooking the battlefield as he sees his forces being pushed back. Before he could say anything he suddenly hears. So Madara, are you ready to die? said Naruto as Madara turns around to see Naruto in his Iron Eagle armor as he draws his sword as Madara does the same as the two engages in a fierce bloody battle. Hinata and Fu along with the forces of Neo Uzushio are pushing the white Zetsus back off of the battlefield as they get slaughtered by the more elite forces. Naruto and Madara are facing each with elite combat and ninjutsu skills as Naruto sends out a powerful burst of wind that blows back a fireball from Madara. Madara soon sees that the battle of jutsu and swords is getting nowhere, forms an ethereal warrior around himself. Madara, hasn't anyone told you that size matters not, said Naruto as he looks at the mad Uchiha in question. No, perhaps you can tell me in your dying breath, retorted Madara as they battle. Sasori is killed when Hinata uses her highly developed gentle step to shred the puppet master's puppet arsenal to pieces using what she calls Dance of the Kylin. Deidara and Fu are fighting to a standstill until Fu with clever tactics throws a shuriken, revealing it to be a specially timed explosive shuriken that blindsides and mauls Deidara, injuring him greatly. Deidara slowly dies of his wounds. Madara has blood flowing out of his eyes as he is unable to keep up with the more maneuverable blonde who is using his lightning, wind and ice powers to beat back his Susanoo. Soon Naruto using a flying drill breaks Madara's Susanoo to pieces as he falls. Naruto soon tackles Madara to the ground and slams him hard into a rock. How are you this strong? This cannot be, said Madara as Naruto has his hand at his throat as Naruto says. Welcome to the future, said Naruto as he runs his sword through his chest killing Madara. Black Zetsu seeing everything is lost is about to flee until Kurama and Chome kills him using fire and water jutsu. The battle has been won and the Akatsuki is defeated, but their true puppet master is going to face justice. End of theme. 2 weeks later. Word has gotten out as Naruto has killed Madara and destroyed the Akatsuki in a brutal defense. Okay Inoichi, let's get started with have a self-proclaimed goddess to battle, said Naruto as he gets ready to go inside of the machine. Be careful my love, said Hinata as she locks lips with him as he then goes inside of the machine. Inoichi actives the machine. Naruto soon feels a surge through his mind as his mind sent to the astral plane. Inside of the astral plane. Naruto looks around to seize the realm of the astral plane where he travels through it to see many creatures from different nightmares. As he moves through it he soon stumbles upon Kagaya and what appears to be a dark twin of herself standing in front of her light part. Kagaya Otsutsuki, said Naruto as he approaches her. Stay back Namikaze, said the dark Kagaya as she draws an ash bone out. Kagaya Otsutsuki, I have come to free your mind so you may redeem yourself in the eyes of the light, said Naruto as the original Kagaya stands up and says. Oh, and how can you do that, said Kagaya as she looked at him with a questioning gaze. By reuniting you with your light half, said Naruto as he sends a bolt of lightning at the dark half, knocking her down as he then pins the incomplete Kagaya down and sends a bolt of lightning at the light Kagaya's chains, freeing her. Now Kagaya redeems yourself in the eyes of the light, said Naruto to the light half as she moves towards dark Kagaya, who looks with fear as she shoots out ash bones but find them sending being absorbed by light Kagaya. As she got close dark Kagaya started to fall to pieces and be absorbed by her light half. Soon Naruto seeing this being done lets the original Kagaya up as the purified form of Kagaya's being is then absorbed by Kagaya, making her complete. Turning towards Naruto she bows and says, thank you, said completed purified Kagaya as she then goes through purgatory as she goes through reincarnation. Naruto for his part sees that his work is done and leaves the astral realm. His quest complete, he now has to deal with one last enemy to his home of Neo Uzushio. Chapter 7, The Neo Age of the Shinobi begins. Naruto is sleeping with Shizuka, Hinata, Yuki, Karen and Fu cuddled up to him from their night of passion. Naruto had celebrated the total defeat of the Akatsuki. But Naruto isn't done as within his mind he is having a conversation. Inside of the mindscape. In front of Naruto is his ancestor Tosei Kaminari and the Sage of the Six Paths as both the sage and Garuda warrior are arguing over what is to be done. Shut up, shouted Naruto, irritated by the arguing beings. Okay, let me get this straight. Tosei Gigi, you want me to have a more complex military structure that is always ready for war, and Hagoromo Gigi, you want me to spread the word of Ninshu to the people. Am I correct? Asked Naruto, trying to understand why they are arguing. Yes, said both beings. Well, I would have to say that it would be difficult. Tosei Gigi, you want me to transform Neo Uzushio into a military power. While this is difficult, but it can be done. Hagoromo Gigi, your philosophy of Ninshu is noble but is missing its fundamental outlook on war. Yes, you want peace in the world, but you forget that war and peace are two sides of the same coin. War for it to be seen as a necessity and not a want. Ninshu would have to evolve into what it should be, not Ninshu or ninjutsu. But a fusion of both, said Naruto as the sage for the first time is confused at this statement. How so? Asked Hagoromo as he looks at Asura's reincarnation. War is a necessary part of human nature, for it plays a part in humanity's development in cultural, technological and spiritual advancements. Yes, Ninshu would bring peace to humans, but you have to remember humanity will always have that darkness inside of them. It would take willpower for peace to last a long time. But if one seeks peace, they should fight for what they hold dear in that peace, for dark forces will want to destroy your peace and comforts with one's family and lifestyle. Reasoned Naruto as Hagoromo thought about while yes he knows humanity is capable of great evil and good, while remember Ninshu is only. Let me ask you this. Are you willing to do what is necessary for a new age of the shinobi? Asked Hagoromo as he looks at Naruto in question. Naruto looking at him and says, I will do what I must for not only Neo Uzushio but for the world. For this world will see peace but also be ready for war. Hagoromo sees in Naruto's eyes a fiery determination that will see humanity and the ninja world into a new age. Well, I see that the world is in the hands of the new sage for a new era and the scion for the Garuda race, said Hagoromo as Naruto nods his head. You know that Sasuke will have to die, he is too dangerous with the power that he doesn't know he has, said Tosei as Hagoromo nods, having seen the destruction and power mongering of Indra's descendants and the purity of the only descendant of Indra being at peace in Neo Uzushio. Yes, but before that I want Naruto to take its power and give it to the only worthy descendant of Indra, said the sage as Naruto nods in understanding as Itachi would be more responsible. I have a feeling I won't have to go after him, he will come to me, said Naruto as he looks at Sasuke. As both beings ascend to the heavens one final time. I trust that you would change the world with your new philosophy. I leave you with the knowledge of Ninshu for its basis, said Hagoromo as he leaves as Naruto feels a surge of knowledge within his mind. Naruto has some thoughts on the philosophies he has learned and reflects on what he has learned from the Lin Kuei, Lama warriors, Ogus, Drajos, Uzumaki, Garuda, Kimimaro and Ninshu. Naruto sees that all this accumulated spiritual and philosophical practice and knowledge he has gained over the past year and months gained. Looks like I know what to look for, said Naruto as he goes to dreamland as he rests with his loves. Time skip 5 months later. Naruto can be seen looking at what he had learned from the past from each book and note he had taken on different subjects, spiritual practice and philosophy from his past. Naruto compiles the philosophies and spiritual subjects into a philosophy that not only revives Ninshu but also improves upon it on a vast scale. Creating Ninshu Bujinkan, melding each philosophy and spiritual subject that Naruto is into a philosophy that would. After the creation of such a philosophy, many of the people of Neo Uzushio started to adopt its principles into daily lives. They proceeded to look into newer sciences and technology for Neo Uzushio. Even the Inuzuka, Hyuga, Akamichi, Nara and Yamanaka clans had also looked into Ninshu Bujinkan with great interest while secretly moving to the island. Jiraiya and Tsunade had also taken to studying said philosophy. The military for its part had seen a great deal of innovation in its fighting forces. As the respective peoples of the Lin Kuei, Ogus, Lama warriors, and Drajos have taken up the headbands of Whirlpool, but also incorporated new designs for their armor and uniforms. The Lin Kuei took designs for their armor and gear from the classical armor of the Warring States era ninjas of the elementals. The Ogus took pieces of their armor and gear design from the naval men of the elementals found in the Uzumaki clan and use imagery of their warrior deity Kaizgen. The Lama warriors, the warrior Sohei of various monk sects of the elementals, combined with their dress wear. Drajos people had mixed elementals of current samurai armor and gear with their armor and gear. At the moment Naruto is traveling towards Spring Country. Koyuki had wanted to talk to Naruto about a sealing matrix for a new prison complex to hold shinobi prisoners. All is going well for Neo Uzushio. But I must take care of those who hide in shadows. After all, the world doesn't need a cabal of power-mongering fools set in their ways of doing things, thought Naruto as he goes towards Spring Country. In Konoha. Plans are being made to attack Konoha's perceived enemy Neo Uzushio by the elders and civilian councils in secret. Are root forces ready to fight? Asked Homura as he looks at Danzo. Yes, root forces are moving on the wooden spike. Soon they will land on the beach of Neo Uzushio as we speak. Soon that village would be no more. I had also sent assassins to kill the boy in Spring. My personal best, he will never leave Spring alive. Should Tsunade get uppity about this operation, we won't have to worry, said Danzo as the civilians chuckle at the demon's homeland being destroyed by their superior fighting forces and Tsunade being unable to do anything about it. However, unaware by all of them, they have 2 leaks that goes unnoticed by the group. As 2 spies, one a Kikaichu bug of the Aburame clan head Shibi and a seemingly mechanized spider robot. As both slip away to their respective partners. Back with Naruto. Naruto is looking over the plans for said prison, seeing a great deal of how his modifications and sealing arrays can help said prison contain the most dangerous of shinobi criminals. As he is done looking over them, he senses 3 squads upon him. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, our master has marked you for death," said a man appearing to be an Abraham as he sends his bugs to drain Naruto so that the group can deliver the killing blow. However, none of them reached him as they had died upon trying to consume his chakra. Before any of them could do any draining, Naruto make a hand sign not for a jutsu but a signal. Soon his attempted assassins fall dead on the ground with kunai and arrows in their backs. "Thank you, Gon. I own you one," said Naruto as he looks at the Lin Kuei captain who steps out of the shadows. "It was no trouble, Uzukage-sama, happy to help," said the Lin Kuei leader as the rest of the Lin Kuei collected the heads of the root assassins. At the Sea of Uzushio, the massive but stealth root carrier ship the Wooden Spike is traveling under the radar of Uzushio's chakra sensors. However, they did know about the Railung of the Llama warriors who silently tripped the alarms as they got ready to fight. As the root assault troops hit the beaches, they move through the forest, however they never got too close to Uzushio's walls as they are soon ambushed when one is hit by an energy arrow through his chest. "Banzai!" shouted the Lin Kuei ambush force as a brutal and bloody melee began in the forest. The root force fought back as best as they could but found they are unable to keep up with the Lin Kuei warriors who fought like the very demons they are named after in their home country. Soon the weakened root ninja are soon driven back to the beachhead where the land mines trigger when the Ogu's guards reactivate the land mines. Drajos warriors clean up the stragglers, making sure none entered Neo Uzushio like Root did ever again by adopting a method the Drajos people used for attempted raiders. One by one root ninja of the assault force are impaled one after the other, dead or alive. "This should teach them not to attack our home," said the Drajos warrior as he shoves a stake up one root member's ass. The Wooden Spike tried to move away but is surrounded by Ogu's patrol boats that cripples the landing craft. The crew is then captured and placed in a comatose state. The Drajos and Ogu's engineering core units then proceed to disable the ship and move it towards the hidden dock of Neo Uzushio. Days later, Izumo and Katetsu are just minding their own business admiring the view when soon a beam of light hits the ground, revealing a large scroll. The two proceeds to take said scroll to the Hokage office. Inside of the Hokage office, Tsunade, after receiving the large scroll, opens it to see a perfectly stacked hill of severed heads inside that had a note that said, "Destructive roots are unwelcomed in Neo Uzu." As she sees a video that shows Danzo and the elders along with the civilians counselors conspiring to destroy Naruto and Neo Uzushio. Tsunade is mad that Danzo and his party had attempted to kill Naruto and destroy his new home. Tsunade storms off and calls a meeting of the council. 30 minutes inside of the council chambers. The civilian counselors had smug looks as Tsunade walks inside of the room. Tsunade and the shinobi clan heads were looking at them with rage. Reason: the fire daimyo had not only sanctioned Danzo's route to attack Neo Uzushio without any trouble from her and reduced her power in the following document Danzo is showing her. As you can see, Tsunade the daimyo doesn't want some islander nation like Neo Uzushio to get too big for its pants. "Now be a good girl and declare war on Neo Uzushio," said Danzo in a smug tone as Tsunade does one thing that she wanted to do. She spits in Danzo's face and on the seal of the fire daimyo. "I, Tsunade Senju, hereby renounce citizenship to both Fire Country and Konoha effective immediately. I am going to Neo Uzushio," said Tsunade as she throws down her haori and headband and walks out. Danzo happy picks it up and says, "Now that she is gone we can now declare," soon throws her headband to his feet and walks out. Shikaku doing the same along with Inoichi, Choza, Hiyashi, Shibi, and Asuma. They all said in unison, "We renounce our citizenship to Fire Country and Konoha to go to Neo Uzushio." As the Anbu in the room does the same as they also walk out. "Traitors, deserters, you and that village will be destroyed and you will be damned to hell. Go there, that village will be your tomb and your children's tomb," said a civilian counselor as he looks at them in an irate tone as they walk out. Soon those in the village are making an exodus towards Neo Uzushio once Tsunade steps outside and shouts, "Ninja who have seen Konoha as a cesspool, come with me and leave Konoha. For this place has fallen to those of vice, ignorance and greed." Soon many of the shinobi who sees Naruto as a human being soon walks outside. Soon those who have sees what the village has become walks out, dropping their headbands and dropping their flak jackets. Back with Naruto. After Naruto had finished the prison in spring, Naruto had helped establish a shinobi force by employing Neo Uzushio's top instructors in combat to help train Koyuki's ninja forces. After leaving, Naruto had gotten word of the whereabouts of one particular man in question. Soon flying up to his mountain home, Naruto knocking on the door as it soon opens. Standing in front of him is a man of Herculean build towering over him with eyes of a king. Welcome stranger, what brings you to my home? Asked the man in question. Hello, I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Uzukage from Neo Uzushio. I have come to you Tosen Yamasaki for your help in regard to your lineage with the fire daimyo. It is of utmost importance, said Naruto as he looks at the Herculean in question who scowls and allows him inside of his home. Tell me, what has my weak-willed brother done to cause you to find me, Namikaze-san? Asked Tosen as he looks at Naruto in question while he sips his tea. Well, to be forward with you, he threatened my people with terrorism to cow any hostilities towards fire by using Konoha-trained terrorists. Not only he had sanctioned a strike force to attack and destroy Neo Uzushio using root forces and sent assassins after me when I was in spring on a diplomatic mission to help Princess Koyuki with her kingdom and ninja force. So far he has been running a campaign against me to persecute me and my nation unlawfully as we develop. Not only that, he is in bed with players in Konoha that I plan to take out, explained Naruto as he sips his tea, liking the tea's flavor. So what do you want me to do exactly? Asked Tosen as he looks at the winged blonde in question. Simply put, I want you to usurp the throne from your spineless brother, so I can negate the Konoha's council's influence on the daimyo seat. That's why when I get ready to take out Konoha it will be as swift as possible, said Naruto as Tosen sees the plan laid out in front of him. What do I get in return? Asked Tosen as Naruto smirks and lays out what he is offering. Well, I would sign an agreement that when I become Whirlpool's daimyo I would not invade and remain a neutral power during war and help train any troops, bodyguards or heirs and heiress in warfare. Have trade at a reasonable price so any merchants coming through Whirlpool are protected by Ogu's Marines patrols, answered Naruto as Tosen looks interested in the prospect as he then asks. This is good, but what do you gain from such an agreement? Asked Tosen as he looks at the blonde. Missions, trade agreements, and a good way to transmit the Ninshu Bajinkan philosophy, as that's all that I want for my people in Neo Uzu. All with no strings attached, answered Naruto as he looks at Tosen who sees a promise in the prospect of trade with Neo Uzushio, as from what he has heard about the island Neo Uzushio is developing on a grand technological scale compared to other nations. Naruto, you have yourself a new fire daimyo. But I must get ready to rule, so in 2 months I need you to have at your enemies on the battlefields of the light and shadow. Naruto, prove your village's strength and precision, while I prove mine, for I shall take my rightful place as daimyo of fire country, said Tosen as he looks at Naruto with eyes in a tone that rivals a god of war. I shall not fail, said Naruto as his eyes looks at him with lightning sparking from them as they had an epic handshake. Naruto leaves as Tosen goes to draw up a list. Back in Neo Uzushio, the clans of the Inazuka, Sarutobi, Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Abrame, and Kurama clans arrive in the areas that had been selected for their clans to live in. They had cut ties with those who would side with Konoha on war with Neo Uzushio. Tsunade and Jiraiya are met by Kurama, Vladimir, Lady Ying, Yusuf and Tien. Jiraiya was surprised by how tall Vladimir and Yusuf are and how well-toned Lady Ying's legs. Tsunade for her part was also amazed by the technology Neo Uzu possesses. Enko and Purely get reacquainted after she introduces him to her friends. Purely respects them for fiercely warning him that if he hurts Enko he will pay. The former ninjas of Konoha had signed on to join Neo Uzushio's ranks as they need a job and Neo Uzushio still has some purposes. Soon Naruto walks inside as he sees his friends. They each told him of what they had found in Neo Uzushio. Naruto, your home is amazing. I can walk the streets for days on end, said Ichiraku as he and his daughter looks around Neo Uzushio in question. Thanks old man Ichiraku, I wasn't alone though, said Naruto as Hinata walks up to him and welcomes him back with a kiss. Naruto, what will be done about Konoha now that it's declaring war on your home? Asked Hiyashi as he looks at the blonde in question who smiles. Well, I will battle them. Take them off guard and make each battle Neo Uzu's own, said Naruto as he cracks his knuckles. As Iruka walks up to Kurama as Kurama looks at him in question. So you used to be the Kyuubi, huh? Asked Iruka as he looks at Kurama in question. Yes Iruka-san, I used to be the creature that killed your family, but through means of control by Madara Uchiha, not my own accord. I know your anger towards me, and I must say, I am sorry for your loss. But your parents and those who lost loved ones' true assassin is dead now. Defeated by your little brother figure over there, said Kurama as he bows his head. Iruka, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, nod in acceptance of his apology. For he senses not the malice of the creature's death. Well, we should help you get settled, for we have war to wage, said Vladimir as they all nod as they get their clans settled and ready for combat under a new banner. Back in Konoha 2 days later. The Konoha Council is in outrage. Nearly 3/4 of their shinobi force has left the village with Tsunade to go to Neo Uzushio. Danzo-sama, we need to do something about this, we need to destroy Neo Uzushio. said the civilian counselor as he and his fellow councilmen nod in agreement. Settle down, Neo Uzu will fall. After all, we have one demand that will see that he complies, said Danzo as he shows video of one Kushina Uzumaki who is alive in a root prison. However, a tactical team of Lin Kuei led by Itachi is listening from the outside using a spider drone as they are seeing it through the drone's eyes. Naruto is going to be both angry and happy at the same time. Itachi as he sends the footage to Neo Uzushio's command room. In command room of Neo Uzushio, everyone is looking mad with Naruto looking at the live feed with lightning sparking out of his eyes. Naruto says in the most anger-filled voice, "Itachi, when you rescue my mother, I want you to capture Sasuke Uchiha and bring him here immediately, no mistakes. You already know your other mission." Back with Itachi and his team. Itachi hearing said orders knows that Konoha had signed its Armageddon as he goes to do both with him going to sneak into the Uchiha compound to get Sasuke. Itachi's shadow clone is moving with the Lin Kuei tactical team inside of the base. Looking through many of its medical rooms when they soon find Kushina on the bed looking in horrid condition. He knows one thing. Oh shit, thought of the Itachi shadow clone as he picked Kushina up and replaces her with a blood clone and moves out of the facility with a swift exit as all Lin Kuei members leave the facility with information regarding route operations. Time skip in Fire Capital. It is a peaceful day in the current Fire Capital's mansion. The Fire Daimyo is having a good day as he is sleeping in bed with 3 women he had presumably had sex with. The 3 women awake thinks, this is the worst daimyo in bed we have ever had the displeasure of sleeping with. Apparently the women know that the Fire Daimyo is a stamina chump, they see him as a weak man who can't even pleasure them. Madam Shijimi had died of a heart attack from eating too much crawfish, leaving the Fire Daimyo all the time to get back on the saddle and sleep around with women who can actually bear his children. The man suddenly feels a great wind blowing through his window that wakes him. Looking outside he sees a storm coming. Wonder what could that mean, thought the Fire Daimyo as he looks at the coming storms. Unaware that hell is coming to his rule. In Neo Uzushio, Sasuke awakens to see himself tied to an assless chair with Naruto, Vladimir and Itachi standing in front of him. I thought the dope killed you, said Sasuke as he looked at his older brother. Foolish little brother, Kakashi has failed to teach you to look underneath the underneath, said Itachi as he looks at his crazed brother. Sasuke, your brother wants to try to talk some sense into before he leave you to me to do with as I please, said Naruto as he has the device ready to steal Sasuke's power in question. Sasuke, I had killed the clan for their treacherous attempt to seize power over the village. I wanted to redeem the clan, revealed Itachi as Sasuke looks at him with a look of disgust. So you killed our clan for these commoners and bottom feeders. You killed the superior race for the weak and unworthy. You are a disgrace of the Uchiha clan that should have never been born, said Sasuke as he looks at Itachi with disgust. Foolish little brother, you should see those around you as equals, not your inferiors. Father has poisoned you with his ideals instead of your own. I am giving you a chance to live, but you are making it harder than it already is, said Itachi trying to reason with his brother in question. I'd rather die than be equal to some commoner like him behind you, so you can take your chance and shove it up your ass. I take what I want as an Uchiha because it is mine to take, not theirs to give, like that girl I took to bed last week. She felt good and tender, she even smelled like roses. I just kept going until I was done. She laid in bed with tears of ecstasy after I railed her, said Sasuke as Itachi for his part is greatly disappointed in Sasuke as he turned down the dark path there is no return from as he walks out. Naruto scowls at Sasuke as he sees the biggest bastard he will ever see in his whole life. He has seen many, but Sasuke takes the cake. Ladies, you can come in if you heard every bit of what he said. You have my permission to do what you want to him, just leave the camera on, said Naruto as soon walking in his Anko Mitarashi, Kurenai Yuhi, Tsunade Senju, Lilandra, Lady Ying, Fu and Hinata, all of them holding various items. Ladies, have fun, just leave him alive for me and the boys to have a go at him, for he isn't going to live through the night after what he said Naruto as he walks out to go get Jiraiya, Yusuf, and Choza for the last part of the beating. Soon the girls beat Sasuke within an inch of his life with the items they had. Enko with a cat's 9 whip, Kurenai a blackjack club, Tsunade a iron handbow, Lilandra brass knuckles, Lady Ying a bow staff, Fu nunchucks, and Hinata a heated knife that she uses to emasculate Sasuke. Naruto stretches as Vladimir, Jiraiya and Choza walk into the room ready to beat Sasuke some more. As the girls go home with Tsunade kissing Jiraiya as he loves it. Naruto, Jiraiya, Choza, and Vladimir walks into the cell and beats Sasuke even worse than what he had experienced from the women in the room. This lasts all night, as Sasuke's brutal beating is finished. Oh number Sasuke, we aren't going to let you die just yet, we are going to send a message, said Naruto as Vladimir grabs 6 large nails and a cross of swords. Naruto heals Sasuke partially as he unties him. Take this cross and walk, we have a somewhere to put you to make Konoha know true mortality and vulnerable, said Naruto as he Jiraiya, Choza, and Vladimir walk to the teleporter and teleports them to the Konoha monument that was corrupted by Danzo who destroyed the other heads. Sasuke stumbles forward as Naruto finds a good spot for the cross to be. Vladimir strikes Sasuke to the ground as Choza and Jiraiya pull Sasuke to the cross. There they hold him down as Naruto and Vladimir drive the 6 large nails into Sasuke's arms and legs, making him scream out as thunder roars through the sky. They stand the cross holding the dying Sasuke Uchiha up. Naruto before leaving sticks and stick a device on Sasuke's neck, draining the power the sage had given him. You lost it all, you spoiled bastard, now look onto the dawn, that's the last dawn you will see, said Naruto as he and the group of heavy hitters leaves the dying form of Sasuke Uchiha as the remains of Indra's corrupt spirit dies. Sasuke cries out as his blood flows onto the mountain in question. The next morning, Danzo can be seen walking outside trying to understand what's the commotion with the civilians and ninja in the street. As he then sees the crucified body of Sasuke Uchiha on a cross-shaped crucifix on the head of Danzo's monument after he destroyed the other heads. The civilian fangirls have heartbreaks with their idol now dead, as many of them are dead from a heart attack. Soon an arrow flies right in front of the ninjas below, soon a hologram shows Naruto in question. People of Konoha, the Uchiha clan is dead and no more. Give up all hope, give up all thought, for if you carry on with going to war with Neo Uzushio your death will not be quick, shouted Naruto as the arrow turns of the projection as he breaks the arrow. Danzo scowls as Naruto had outmaneuvered him and destroyed his chance at gaining a newer controllable Uchiha clan. Curse you Namikaze, thought Danzo as he storms off to make preparations for war against Neo Uzushio. Elsewhere in IWA around the same time, Onoki of the Scales is with the council of his village making plans for an assault on Neo Uzushio when Kuretsuchi bursts through the room with 50 ninja. Kuretsuchi, what is the meaning of this? Demanded Onoki as he looks at his granddaughter in question. This is a coup, you old bastard. We know about Operation Dark Rock. You sent those ninja to pillage a village that was neutral on the battlefield for women and booze. These men died deservingly and you all covered it up and made them look like heroes when really they are nothing but butchering rapist bastards, said Kuretsuchi as she looks at the council and the Tsuchikage who scowls. Why, you young ones are nothing more than soft-hearted weaklings, said one councilman who has his head cut off by Kuretsuchi. As of this moment this council is dissolved permanently, said Kuretsuchi as the 50 ninja rush and slaughter the councilors and Onoki, ending their reign. Thank you Namikaze for exposing to us a great evil among us, thought Kuretsuchi as she thinks back 6 days ago. Flashback 6 days ago. Kuretsuchi is moving back towards IWA when she sees one Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze flying down towards her. Greetings Kuretsuchi, said Naruto as the woman looks at Naruto in question. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, how thrilling of you to show up. What do you want from you? Asked Kuretsuchi as she looks at Naruto in question. To reveal to you something that will change how you view your grandfather and counsel on how they wage war forever, said Naruto as he hands her a file and document on something she needed to see. Kuretsuchi looks at the files with horror as inside each file is the destruction caused by the unit Minato defeated. Destruction to different villages and cities that were neutral during the Third Shinobi War, women and children raped and killed, men mutilated and killed. Temples shacked and destroyed, all done by the Black Rock Group. Kuretsuchi looks at Naruto and asks in a deadly tone, is this real? Yes, none of it fabricated. Do you want me to show you the sights? Asked Naruto as Kuretsuchi nods her head and he picks her up bridal style and flies towards each area. You may not want to have your headband on, it might draw trouble, said Naruto as Kuretsuchi nods in understanding as she hides it in her pouch. Flashback end. Kuretsuchi had seen the sights and rotting corpses of men, women and children, each seeing IWA's signature jutsu markings from different destroyed buildings, temples and landmarks. Kuretsuchi was more shocked and disgusted by the savagery unleashed by the council and her grandfather. Hopefully I can get IWA back on its feet as a proper ninja village, thought Kuretsuchi as she took her grandfather's head. In Kiri. A route base is hit by Kiri ninja forces who was tipped off by the Ogu's Marine Recon and Drajos Recon troops who had sent let Mei know of the location. At the moment Mei is overlooking the assault on the base with her lieutenant. Greetings Lady Mizukage, said Vladimir as he walks up to Mei. She looks at the Drajos warrior who towers over her, looking at her eyes. Greetings Lord Vladimir, happy to make your formal acquaintance, said Mei as Vladimir kisses the back of her hand. As she giggles at the gesture. Happy to make your acquaintance to a lovely lioness, said Vladimir in a flirtatious tone as Mei smirks and blushes slightly at the manner of the Drajos warrior leader speaks to her. Such a charmer, I hope we can come together in more than one way, said Mei as she looks at Vladimir with bedroom eyes. In Kumo. Kumo Nins had destroyed a root spy outpost that Lin Kuei spies had revealed to them. Back in Konoha days later. Danzo is furious that 7 of his root bases had been raided by Neo Uzushio. Not only that, morale is low for the non-root-oriented ninja as they had took down Sasuke's mutilated body. What's worst is that Sasuke's cellular structure had been deeply destroyed by the winged blonde. This can't be happening, how can that blonde upstart outmaneuver me in this way? He is just a novice, thought Danzo as he looks to see Kushina still having her in his prison. In Neo Uzushio. Kushina can be seen sleeping in a hospital room where she has been treated by the best doctors Neo Uzushio has to offer. Her body had been covered with the worst tortoise wounds inflicted by Root's torturers. Naruto after seeing this became more bloodthirsty for revenge. At the moment though, Kushina soon starts to wake up. Naruto sitting right next to sees her waking up and looks with hope. Soon Kushina starts to awaken and asks, "Where am I?" "You're safe in Neo Uzushio, mother," said Naruto as his mother's eyes focuses to see Naruto in his new form. "Naruto-kun, you're alive my son, and you're the chosen one of Uzu's legend," said Kushina as she caresses her son's face. "Yes mother, I am. I had thought you dead, but you are alive and together with me. I am so excited to have you back in my life mother," said Naruto as he hugs his mother lovingly. Kushina has tears in her eyes as her son she had been told was killed was finally alive and beyond well. She is happy to have given birth to the chosen one of her people's legends. "What has happened while I was in a coma?" asked Kushina as Naruto looks at her with a mixed expression. "Much Ka-chan, so much," said Naruto as he relies on everything that has happened so far. Back in Konoha. Kakashi is in a bar drinking his sorrows away. He has become a man that has fallen from grace. Kakashi had lost his respect, his team, prestige and his ability to lay with women due to Hinata hitting him in a point that cut circulation to his testicles and penis. He lost everything due to his pride, ego and selfishness. Now he is just a loser with no real future to start again as Sasuke is dead. Sakura is bloodthirsty for revenge as he has become a failure for a teacher. Leaving the bar, Kakashi goes to his home looking gloomy as he has lost all meaning for life as he proceeds to get a rope and hangs himself, ending his life in the process. Hours later his body was found by Anbu looking for him. They found him with a message carved in the wall that said, "I wasted my life for nothing." In the capital. Guards can be seen standing at the city gates when they see a man with a Herculean build as they approach and soon recognizes the rightful ruler of Fire Country, Tosen Yamasaki. "Guards, please open the gates. I must go to my palace for I have a date with destiny," said Tosen as the guards allow him to pass. As he walks in, many people looking out sees Tosen decked out in his royal armor that has the design of a lion king on it. Tosen walks with great strength and purpose in his steps as he moves through the streets. Many of the women look at him with awe as he walks through the room. Soon Tosen is blocked by the samurai general Fujita, who looks at Tosen in question. "So Tosen, you have returned to claim your place as fire daimyo?" asked Fujita as he looks at Tosen in question. "Yes Fujita, would you stop me?" asked Tosen as he readies himself for battle subtly. "No, the fire capital is full of sheep and no lions. I only follow the strongest-willed leader. But the samurai under the palace guard will not listen to me, so prove your worth," said Fujita as he allowed Tosen to pass. Tosen nods and walks past. Tosen reaches the palace gates and shouts, "Oh brother, I have come for the throne of my nation, come out and I will make it quick," as the current fire daimyo runs out looking with fear as his brother is here alive. Tosen looks at him bloodthirsty as the current fire daimyo's mistresses look at Tosen with interest and bedroom eyes as they see a war god incarnate in front of them. "Kill him," shouted the fearful fire daimyo as he looks at Tosen as samurai loyal to him come out to try to kill Tosen. Cage the beast by a delayed away. Tosen charges leaping at the samurai forces of the palace guard. He begins to slaughter each one of them with his broadsword in a warpath state as many of the samurai felt Tosen decided to fight without his weapon in a demonstration of his strength and ferocity. Breaking bones, crushing skulls, breaking backs, Tosen attacks with savagery of a lion king as he makes his way inside of the palace. Tosen is blocked off by a group of brutish samurai. Tosen assaults with determination as he crushes these guards, killing the last one by breaking his back over his knee. Tosen moves through the palace as he battles many of the ninjas employed by his brother as with defensive jutsu. The last guard to protect the daimyo is a master swordsman who is in seiza position. "Takamaru, what are you doing?" said the fire daimyo as he looks on in terror. "No, I won't, I owe my loyalty to the daimyo." "You are not the daimyo," said Takamaru as he allows Tosen to pass. "Brother, come on, I can leave, I can." The daimyo never got to finish as Tosen cuts his brother's head off, killing him. Takamaru has all of those who are loyal to my brother brought to my throne room, said Tosen as he goes towards his throne room in question. Theme end back in Neo Uzushio. Naruto is looking stoically at the Konoha delegate that had arrived. Sakura, being the leader of the delegation, had demanded Naruto to surrender himself in Neo Uzushio or be destroyed with his mother, who Sakura describes as a whore. Naruto answers by beating the living hell out of Sakura as Vladimir, Yusuf and Lady Ying go after the Konoha delegates with a vengeance. All of the Konoha group are beating within an inch of their life as Naruto stands over Sakura with a boot on her neck. Tell Danzo I am coming for him, and hell is coming with me, said Naruto as he makes the message completely sure by ripping out Sakura's eye and throws it to a Haku eats it. Letting her up, she shouts while retreating. You demon, we will be waiting, we will crush your islander forces like they were dogs and feed them to the dogs when we're done, said Sakura as she seals her eye. Naruto and the group go back towards Neo Uzushio. Soon an eagle lands with a royal scroll that Naruto opens up to see something that makes him smile. Well, I better tell everyone the good news, said Naruto to himself as he goes to the war room. In Fire Capital, Tosen had cleaned house, removing all of his brother's supporters and replaced them with men who are not only loyal but also highly revered and regarded in all walks of life, from scientists, mathematicians, scholars, philosophers, warrior monks, samurai and sages. Each one now has a position of power. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been selected due to your open minds and sensical motivations to be in my court. I have one question: what Konoha has done for Fire Country? Asked Tosen as he looks at all of them. Well, my lord, I would say they had caused hostilities to nations connected to Neo Uzushio and Whirlpool when we had no issues with the village or country. Said a woman. Yes, that is right. What else? Asked Tosen. Caused tighter restrictions to be on our delegates when visiting nations their leader Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze had helped save. Answered an old sage man. Yes, anything else? Asked Tosen as he look at all of them when one stands up. The warrior monk of the group says, they had started a war that sees no benefits for regional safety of any real reason other than hatred for the former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Now that we all know about this war between Neo Uzu and Konoha, what are we going to do about it? Asked Tosen as he looks at the advisors for suggestions. We can strip the of their village status, said the female scholar. Cut their funding in half, said the elder sage. I would say cut off all support to let them fight this war they had brought upon themselves. After all, your brother was supporting them, let them fight this war. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze never had any aggression towards Fire Capital. No of the people of Fire Country had been attacked, only ninja from Root had been killed in the most recent battles with Uzushio. Said the warrior monk. Tosen thinks upon the third option, seeing as Konoha has been fighting with the backing of Fire Capital. It would seem to him their arrogance, bigotry and greed would be the reason for such a war. I believe that Tanosuke has a good idea, seeing as Konoha's fighting ability has become over-reliant on their Jinchuriki and our funding instead of their own power, so I will cut off all support to see how strong they are without our support, said Tosen as he writes a decree that states the following. All Fire Country support will be cut from Konoha to test their ability to handle themselves in war. Stamping the approval, Tosen signed Konoha's Armageddon. Tosen goes towards the fastest falcon in the room. Talon sends this to Konoha and let them know of the development, said Tosen as he straps the scroll on the falcon's foot as it flies at tornado speeds. Inside of Konoha, Danzo is not too happy with the situation. He has been outmaneuvered by the winged blonde on many steps as he sees reports of combat missions in Suna, Spring, Rice, Rain, Wave and many others with ties to Konoha. Danzo is unbelievably surprised by the blonde able to outfox him, a veteran in the art of war. Danzo continues to look through the reports until the Fire Daimyo's fastest falcon taps on the window. Danzo, seeing the falcon, lets him in. Message from Fire Daimyo Tosen Yamasaki, said Talon as Danzo takes the message in shock that the current Fire Daimyo is dead, knowing how succession disputes work with Daimyo lineage. Danzo sees the new Daimyo's seal. Sensing that the scroll pertains to the village, Danzo call a council meeting. 30 minutes later, all of the councilors are up to speed on the new Daimyo and his seal. Danzo opens the scroll to see the decree and Danzo is completely shocked by what he had read. What has happened, Danzo? Asked Homura as he looks at his former teammate. The Fire Daimyo has just cut all support from Konoha for our war against Neo Uzushio, said Danzo as everyone looks shocked at what was just told. How are we going to beat the demon and his nation of foreign dogs? Said one counselor as he is not liking what he's feeling. For the first time in their lives, they feel fear. Fear of defeat, fear of destruction. Naruto has finally showed them what it means to truly fight a ninja war. Danzo for his part is shocked that Naruto had outfoxed him every step of the way. Outfoxed the shinobi of darkness himself. Okay, we will need to declare martial law and start rationing food. No overspending until we get the upper hand on this situation with Neo Uzushio. We can still win this, said Danzo as he's not going to give up. Soon an arrow comes through the window with a hologram message from Naruto. Greeting Shinobi of Darkness, this recorded message is to let you know that Konoha is coming close to its judgment day. I'm giving you 5 days each day. I will slowly starve you, crush at every battlefield you have ever fought on and won. I will make it to where you all feel like caged animals, said Naruto as the hologram is smashed by Danzo as he growls in a rare display of emotions. Kill Kushina, send her head to Whirlpool, said Danzo as to the intercom channel to Root HQ. Danzo doesn't know that Kushina had already been taken from Konoha. The Lin Kuei moves back to base with the information needed for Naruto as they move away from Konoha's perimeter. Back with Naruto. Naruto is in the war room with all of the clan heads. Naruto had gotten the best news of his life as the Lin Kuei spies related everything they had listened to. So Naruto, what are you planning to do for the next 5 days? Asked Inoichi as Naruto he smirks. I am going to crush Neo Uzu's enemies wherever they hide, said Naruto. Terminator 2 theme montage. Day 1 Konoha had been raided by Neo Uzushio's Lin Kuei ghost bats that destroyed their fishing and food reserves, causing Konoha to go without fish and limit ration supplies. Day 2 Konoha's weapons arsenal had been destroyed by Neo Uzushio's Black Dragons Brigade, who had used a powerful nitroglycerin bomb that blew the factory sky high. Day 3 Several merchant vessels belonging to Konoha had been attacked by the Sea Wolves Warhammer group, sinking several ships in the process, causing Konoha to have less ships on the waters of the ocean. Day 4 Konoha's R&D department had been hit by Neo Uzu saboteurs, taking out their ability to develop new gear and armor for the 5th day, which is tomorrow. Now is Day 5. Theme end. Konoha is in a state of near disrepair. Many of the civilians fled while some, still having a semblance of hope, stayed. Soon, however, Naruto along with half the hull of his main forces surrounding Konoha. Naruto steps forward and shouts, Konoha, do you feel fear? Do you feel despair? You should, for this is how I had felt when I was in your walls as a comrade, if not friend. Do you feel how I felt when I was here? Do you feel the never-ending fear? Suddenly an arrow launches at Naruto, who catches it. That's what we feel, demon, said one Jonin as he and his friends laugh as Naruto smirks. Always hubris before the fall, said Naruto as he lifts off the ground and shots out bolts of lightning towards Konoha's gates, knocking them open. Soon brutal street fighting can be seen from the Hokage Tower as Konoha's forces are engaging in its last stand against an enemy it has no real experience against, as they are slowly being pushed back. The only reason Konoha's forces weren't overwhelmed immediately is due to the remnant forces of the Hyuga, Inuzuka and several Yamanaka clansmen still loyal to the corrupt. Danzo has the tower on lockdown as he watches the fighting from the tower's cameras. Danzo, what are we going to do? Asked Kaharu, afraid of what's happening. Calm yourself, Kaharu. Konoha may fall, but we will be alive to pick up the pieces, said Danzo as he's confident of the bunker's protection. On the outside, all hell is breaking loose as Konoha's forces are being beaten back by Neo Uzu's warriors. From the savage Drajos Green Dragons, the fierce White Wolves of the Ogu's Marines, the ferocious Kilin group of the Lin Kuei are all fighting fiercely in the street. As a group of Neo Uzu ninja are moving towards the hospital. The hospital staff are inside watching as the chaos in the streets. Soon the Neo Uzu ninja burst through the hospital. Okay, every non-combatant out, this war zone is getting too hot, so move it, said a Jonin as he stops a doctor. Where are the infants and how many are there? Asked the Jonin as he looks at the Neo Uzushio ninja. Down the hallway to the right. There are only 40 to 58, said the doctor as he is then evacuated as the Jonin gets on the horn for reinforcements. Tiger 4, this is Hawkeye 9, we need reinforcements to help evacuate the hospital full of infants, said the Jonin as they move towards the nursery to secure it. In the orphanage, several Lama warriors are treating the brainwashed children, breaking them of their trauma conditioning to have a new start in life and any that was freshly taken. Come along children, you will need more than the standard treatments to heal your mind, said the Lama mystic as he opens a portal to the mental care part of Neo Uzu's hospital. With Naruto. Naruto was raining death to Konoha ninja as they all are trying to knock him out of the air. Naruto attacked using his power over lightning and wind to slay all of his enemies. Naruto grounds and fights using his upgrade ancestral plasma saber, slicing through Konoha nins like butter. Naruto is about to take off when a large shuriken is thrown at him. Naruto dodges and slices the shuriken in half. Naruto turns to see his old ex-teacher Mizuki, who was looking like a human tiger hybrid. He along with Hanabi Hyuga and Kiba Inuzuka. Time to die, demon brat, said Mizuki as he and the clan heir and heiress skirmish with Naruto. The fighting ends when Naruto breaks Hanabi's back, killing her, cutting Kiba's head off and ripping Mizuki in half with his bare hands. Naruto proceeds to kill more Konoha loyalists. Naruto-kun, all non-combatants are no longer in the battlefield, said Hinata through Naruto's comm set. Okay, thanks Hinata-hime, said Naruto as he slices a pouncing leaf nin down with his saber. Naruto switches to his combat spear, as he and his force commanders drive the remnants to the tower center. You all have a chance to walk away, said Naruto as he is giving them the chance to walk away. Some of the sensical one are about to leave until their comrades turn their weapons on them, killing them. You just bought your tickets to hell, said Naruto as he and his commanders slaughter the forces of Konoha. Naruto sees the tower locked up tight. How are we going to get inside, Naruto-san? Asked Ying as she looks at the Uzukage. We're not. I had a feeling they would trigger fortress mode of the tower, so that's why I had Itachi sabotage the fortress mode's shutdown system. When he was here they are trapped, said Naruto as they all nod in agreement. As Neo-Uzu forces leave out as Naruto flies up to the very top of the Hokage tower. Once the Neo-Uzu forces are cleared, Naruto summons the utmost power of his wind and lightning abilities to hit Konoha with a powerful storm that blows it off the map, leaving the tower standing. Naruto places a seal on the tower, sealing it on a dimensional level for a certain surprise Danzo was going to use. Naruto flies towards his Neo-Uzu forces as they gave him a nod of acknowledgement as Naruto nods back. Okay everyone, we managed to strike a major victory to remember, but let's not forget that for us to succeed in this world is to have understanding, strength, respect and commitment to your nature as warriors. Tomorrow future wars will be fought, but they will be on different terms. So we must be ready to fight them, said Naruto as they all gave a shout of renowned reverence. Naruto Uzumaki, savior of the elementals, has done the impossible and defeated the fallen Konohagakure. The future looks bright for the wrathful winged warrior as he leads Neo-Uzushio into a new future, one that changes the shinobi nations. Inside of the bunker of Danzo and his route. Danzo, seeing as Naruto and Neo-Uzushio's forces are gone through the sensors, try to deactivate fortress mode until an electrical surge destroys the panel and power to the fortress. Danzo and his cronies realize that the supposed idiot of the Uzumaki clan had beaten them. This laments as they are trapped in a building turned tomb to die a slow painful death. Uzumaki! Shouted Danzo as he is enraged that Naruto beat the man a final time. Epilogue. 7 years had passed since Konoha's destruction. Nations had been more open for trade and cooperation. Tosen and Naruto, good on their words, had signed a non-aggression pact with each other. Fire Country gets trade prices at reasonable levels, while Ninshu Bujinkan gets to spread throughout the world, starting with Fire Country while also getting more missions. Kimimaro had restarted the Kagaya clan after Guren's and Pakura's multiple pregnancies. They are in the area where Naruto destroyed Konoha, building a temple-like compound for his new clan. Naruto, finding out about this, had come to visit. They were first surprised by Naruto's appearance and new abilities. Naruto, thanks to the efforts of Tsunade and the medical sciences of the Ogus, Lin Kuei, Lama warriors and Drajos people, gave Kimimaro and his children a vaccine that would prevent them from getting the disease that plagued him for most of his life. Kimimaro, grateful for such an action, had agreed for his clan to be a police force to help protect travelers on bandit missions. Nadeshiko and Suna saw new improvements in technology and medical research thanks to their alliance with Neo-Uzushio. Suna had gained knowledge to create artificial wells for the village thanks to Naruto's knowledge of seals and his knowledge of water jutsu. Nadeshiko now has a more so stable system of trade and government that has seen increases in ninja and village size. Kumo signed a non-aggression pact with Neo-Uzushio that saw a great deal of trade from each other. Sakura, who had survived Konoha's destruction, tried to form a mercenary army to destroy Neo-Uzushio, only for her to be killed by Naruto just shooting a bolt of lightning at her head, blowing it off. The Konoha clans had a great cultural exchange with the peoples of the Ogus, Drajos, Lama warrior and Lin Kuei peoples that benefited both groups. The Akamichi exchanged spices and food recipes with the Drajos and Ogus people while gaining knowledge on seafood recipes. They also traded secrets on wrestling and close combat skills. The Yamanaka and Nara gained enlightenment and spiritual texts from the Lama warriors while exchanging knowledge on studies of the mind and shadows. The Hyuga gained a great deal of knowledge of martial arts from the Lin Kuei that seen an exchange in the knowledge of pressure points and chakra points in the human body. Tsunade, for her part, learned an even great deal of medical knowledge that also led to her extending the knowledge of superhuman strength to further improve the body. Jiraiya found some interest in the figures in the mythologies of the people, so he wrote a book titled The Encyclopedia on Cultures of Neo-Uzushio, a book that outsold the Ika Ika Paradise series. After getting permission from the people's leaders, he had also took interest in the Drajos field of nudes art that had transferred over to his new and improved Ika Ika Raining Heaven series that is liked by both men and women. IWA had signed a non-aggression pact with Neo-Uzushio after they helped in making some renovations to their villages in technology and agriculture. Kuretsuchi had revealed to every one of her grandfathers and the elders' treachery, revealing the atrocities they allowed to happen. The rookies had found a perfect home to grow and learn thanks to Naruto. The Abrame clan became patrons of Chome after discovering her true form. Soon became a lover of Kurama after he had met her clan and him, blessing their canine companions with greater senses. She gave birth to a son named Kenshin, a boy who seems to have gained abilities similar to his father, only showing traits of that of a wolf. During the Konoha group's time in Neo Uzushio, they had not only added their knowledge and insights inside of Neo Uzushio's pool of knowledge but also improved vastly overall. Henna became the lover of Tiberius of the Drajos people. After Tiberius had helped one of the Heimaru triplets out of a hunting trap he had placed to catch boar native to Neo Uzushio. They had first got off on a rocky start when they meet but found they have a lot in common with each other. Shino met and became the lover of Sophia of the Drajos people, a woman of great beauty and knowledge on insects. Neji and Tenten became a couple when they found a common ground in not only the martial arts and weapons but also a love for art and cultural studies. Ino and Shikamaru found love in each other after spending some time together. Tamari found love in a Lin Kuei member named Bao after have a mission together. Kankuro for his part found a lover in Lilandra when she had a joint mission with Tamari and Bao. Gaara and Matsuri had become lovers after Gaara found she deeply cared for him, not his power or his status. Jiraiya and Tsunade had gotten together after finally admitting their feelings for each other. Naruto had found the liquid used by Hidan and synthesized a rejuvenation formula variant. They restored Jiraiya and Tsunade in the prime years. They have quadruplets they named Minato, Kushina, Dan and Nawaki in honor of their loved ones. Itachi found love in Yugito after meeting and finding each other remarkably similar in self-determination. Yugito had migrated to Neo Uzushio, and Naruto had extracted Nibi from her body. Nibi had agreed to be Lightning Country's defender on the condition they fight their own battles and keep their wars to military combatants. Killer Bee had become a talented rapper after meeting Chen, a similar rapper from the Lin Kuei. They conversed with each other in a way only they could understand. In some kind of way. Hidan was still being used as a prison bitch. Cursed to be passed around like a whore, especially after Naruto improved his body's tone, thighs and legs as well as breasts and skin texture. Hidan was being passed around like he was a long cigarette or infinite bottle of beer as he took the pounds the men of Blood Prison wanted to give him. Asuma and Kurenai marry after some convincing by Anko and Purely, who had also gotten together after some dating and moments together. Ibiki found love in Lady Ying, who found Ibiki as an interesting hard man to crack. Kuretsuchi found love in both a woman by the name of Tanya Tenchu and a man named Sosuke Hayabusa. Konomaru had found love in Moegi after long time together. Might Guy had found purpose as a taijutsu and fitness instructor that had received great critical acclaim. Guy had fallen in love with a woman named Koyuki Tenma, who to everyone's joy had helped reduce his creepily eccentric mindset to its second highest state. Udon, after thankfully getting treatment for his noise again, Iu found love in Sonia of the Ogu's people. Ebisu became a monk of the Lama warriors after finding how interesting the culture is. Shizune found love with Draco of the Drajos people after they found each other in a bookshop in Neo Uzushio stumbling on a book about flowers. The Toads had found new summoners from the Lin Kuei and Lama warrior peoples due to their discipline and insights in the spiritual arts. Isaribi had found a home with the Ogu's Marine Llanos, who she will spend her life with for his kindness. Vladimir found love in Maid Terumi after the two found a one-night stand. Vladimir is now the ambassador of Neo Uzushio, while his trusted lieutenant Argos leads the people. Jugo became a monk of the Lama warrior after they balanced his Railung and centered his mind. Nagato and Konan live together and are expecting children. Kushina, after being appointed Whirlpool Daimyo after Naruto stepped down to run Neo Uzushio, had gone on to help promote Uzumaki history and culture. The descendant of Homura known as Tonari tries to destroy Earth, but Naruto defeats him and reasons with to help defend it. Tonari agrees after finding love in a girl of the Drajos people named Cassandra, who showed him what humanity can offer in culture, freedom and life. Tonari is leaving on the moon with Cassandra as he starts to love humanity instead of hating it. At the moment Naruto is eating with his 5 wives at their wedding. They had agreed to get married together on one day. Naruto-kun, you are an amazing creature, said Fu as she caresses his cheek. Yes Naruto, you show us a great adventure that saw many triumphs for not only Neo Uzushio but also the human race, said Hinata as she looks at her husband and sister-wife in question. Yes Naruto-kun, you have fulfilled the prophecy, saved the world from many great evils both human and inhuman, said Karen as she smiles at Naruto in question. Thank you, my darlings, for your praises, but I have much more to do. I only hope the next generation can do more, said Naruto as Shizuka and Yuki wrap around Naruto as he looks at the two. Well Naruto-kun, right now you have to relax in the moment, said Yuki as he rubs his wings to find the soft. Yes Naruto-kun, after all the future is then the present is now, said Shizuka as she kisses Naruto on the cheek as he smiles. Yeah, you're right, I should think about the now instead of then. After all, I need to look for a place for our honeymoon, said Naruto as he smiles at his 5 wives as they smirk at Naruto's thinking. The world is at peace and development. But when those who seek to do it harm, let it be known that a great fighting force will be there to even the odds and fight for what's right for all life. End of story.